go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. My name is Larry Auerbach, and welcome to the Oldham County Board of Adjustments and Appeals. It's a little bit after 9 o'clock, and let's go ahead and get started. We are now in session. We have several cases today. The procedures for each case is going to be the same. Here in a minute, we're going to swear staff in, and then Mike, Board Member Riley, will read the actual case. Staff will give us a case report or the staff report. There'll be a round of questioning by us, the board members, to staff. And when we're done with that, staff's going to take a seat. I'm going to follow you, the applicant, forward. You're going to come forward, raise your right hand, state your name and address, and be sworn in. You'll justify your project. You have 20 minutes to do so. And when you're done with that, there'll probably be a round of questioning by the board members to you, the applicant. When we're done with that, you may take a seat. And then I'll call forward anybody that wishes to speak in favor and those opposed to the application. Two separate deals. There's a lot of people in the audience, so what we'll do is anybody wishing to speak in favor, I'll have you stand, raise your right hand, state your name and address, be sworn in. Collectively, you have 10 minutes to state why you're in favor. So you'll need to keep that in mind. You'll have 10 minutes. We typically have a timer. We don't have it this morning. We're going to throw a phone on the overhead to show the 10 minutes. Okay? Same thing with those in opposition. Everybody wishing to speak, you'll stand, be sworn in, state your name and address, and tell us why you're opposed. Collectively, you'll have 10 minutes. If there are a bunch of you that wish to speak in favor and or opposed, you may want to get together and think about who could be a spokesperson. Let's keep the time going. If it's already been mentioned once, let's keep it at that and not reiterate the same support or opposition. Okay? There'll probably be a round of questioning by board members to those folks, those that wish to speak in favor, and then those opposed. And when we're done with that, you can be seated. The applicant will have 5 minutes for a rebuttal, and then there'll be a time for a rebuttal, 5 minutes for those opposed. And then the final statements. The final statements will begin with the opposition. You'll have 5 minutes, and then the applicant will finish up with 5 minutes for their final statements. When we're done with that, everybody may be seated. There might be a round of questioning by board members to anybody in the audience. And when we're done, we're going to close the floor for public hearing, open it up for general discussion among the board members, and call for an up and down vote. All right? Cell phones. Please make sure cell phones are off or on vibrate. If you need to use your phone, please excuse yourself from the courtroom. Do whatever you need to do. Just make sure it's off and come back in. And with that, let's swear staff in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right. And Board Member Riley, could you read the first one, please?
Okay, thank you, Chair. Docket OC 21-010. An application has been filed requesting a location variance for a proposed structure located at 4050 West Highway 524, Westport.
I am getting some audience saying they're having difficulty hearing. Board members, I guess, just make sure that your mics are close. When you're not speaking, just turn them away. Thank you.
All right, good morning. Amy Alley with Oldham County Planning and Development Services. As Mr. Riley stated, this is an application for a location variance for proposed accessory structure at 4050 West Highway 524. The property is zoned CO1 Conservation and AG1 Agricultural, and this tract is approximately 6.3 acres in size. You'll see highlighted here in red is the subject tract. This is a zoomed in version. You'll see at the bottom of the screen where it says 4050, that is the location of the home. This shows the zoning, which is CO1 and AG1 Agricultural. Again, the applicant is requesting a location variance to allow the 1,200 square foot detached garage to be located in front of the primary. Per section 250-030 item E, no accessory use or structure shall be located between the principal building and the front property line. So using the aerial, and then the home there is circled in yellow. The dotted line would be the front plane of the house. So no accessory structures can be located in front of that without requesting a location variance. You'll see the red square located in front of that dashed line. That is the proposed location for the detached garage. The proposed detached accessory structure will be 150 feet from the front property line, which is approximately 30 feet in front of the principal structure, 162 feet from the right side property line, 495 feet from the left side property line, and approximately 336 feet from the rear property line. This is a rendering of what the accessory structure will be. Per the applicant's justification statement, the garage must be located in front of the home because of the location of an electric pole in the middle of the yard and location of the water line that runs through the middle of the yard. Majority of the property is a hillside and unable to build a garage behind the house due to the steep terrain. And the property is in a rural area surrounded by woods and not visible from the road or adjoining properties. So this is the contour maps that you can see. And with our new system, we can't draw on the screen any longer. So, yeah, you can see my mouse. So this area here is the flattest area, which again, there's a telephone pole, and then the applicant will show you as well where the water line runs through here. So there's a telephone pole here that has a 15-foot easement on both sides. I'm sorry, not on both sides, at the center. So it's 7.5 feet on each side. And then there's also the water line that runs from 524 into this property. So you can see this is the contours here where everything slopes significantly off to the sides. This is Highway 524 at Dixon Lane. The property does have a 524 address, but however, you do access the property from Dixon Lane. So if you look at the area map in the bottom corner, you'll see the star. That's the intersection of Dixon Lane and Highway 524, and again, this is the location. The applicant also owns this tract to the north as well. But again, it has a 524 address, but it's actually accessed from Dixon Lane. Again, this is the subject tract that the applicant also owns. This is the entrance into the property. Again, this is off of Dixon Lane. This is the west view. So this is looking to the left when exiting the driveway. This is going back out to 524. You can see it's heavily treed on both sides of Dixon Lane. This is the north view. So this is across the street from the property. This is the east view. So this is the adjoining property owner on Dixon Lane. This is their house here. You can see from the area map in the corner. This is the applicant's front yard. You'll see it's kind of hard to see in this picture, but here is the telephone pole here. So they're wanting to put it in this flat area. This is the right side yard. Tried to get as much as I could of the contours. You can see where it's already starting to fall, and then it falls significantly on this right side. That's just another view of the right side yard. This is the left side yard. So again, you can see the contours where it falls significantly. And this is a view exiting. So this is standing at the front yard looking towards the street. So you can see the only opening that you have into the property is the actual driveway entrance here. And this again is looking out Dixon Lane to Highway 524. Here's 524, and then this is the growth of the trees and brush along Dixon Lane. So in summary, the applicant is requesting a location variance to allow proposed accessory structure to be located in front of the primary structure. The only condition of approval that staff has recommended in your staff report is that the variance shall only apply to the application considered at the May 20, 2021 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. Be happy to answer any questions.
Point of clarification, when you were talking about when you were talking about the how far, I believe you said feet, but the thing thing that says yards.
I converted the yards into feet for it, because we're
Okay.
more accustomed to seeing in
All right.
feet.
Want to make sure we're on the same page. Thank you.
Huh?
Back on the topo map, please.
On this
Yeah,
one?
right there.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions for Amy? Thank you, Amy. If we could have the applicant come forward, please. Morning.
Morning.
Raise your right hand, state your name and address.
Jeremy Cox, 4050 West Highway 544, West Oldham, Kentucky.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
And if you can justify the project, please.
It's a 30 by 40 steel structure, based like a carport, square tubing type frame, metal like they use on the pole barns on the outside. One of the other reasons we're wanting to place it there is all the utilities access the front of the property. It's not just the water line and telephone pole there. Our septic system is also located in that clear. People that bought it from it, they weren't the ones that built it, but whoever built the house, they set the house back toward the hillside, and then cleared area is where our lateral lines, and as you said, the distribution box where the septic system is located at. So with that being said, that's one of the reasons why we can't put it there, the pole. And if we had the pole moved, we'd have to do the septic system with all the woods, with the sinkholes and steep drains, just not giving them no place to put the septic system.
With the mouse, can you show me where the septic system is?
So the septic system comes off this corner right here. This is where the AC unit sits. It comes right out this back corner right here. And it comes out, there's a tank that's actually about, I don't know, it's probably 15 feet or so off. And then it goes up, there's another, I'm being told there's a distribution box. And the lines run out this way because the ground, like paper is this way, starts to fall off. And that's the way the septic system runs out this way here.
All right, and what is the other building, right about where your mouse is, go north a little bit?
This?
Yeah, what is that?
This is a pontoon, another old pontoon I had. If you, this is actually another boat also years ago. I actually got, well, up to last March, these boats that are, these boats are no longer there. There's like I've got a fence that comes directly off the house like this, just past the pole. And there's actually like a chicken coop sitting over here next to where like the trampoline's at right now. This tree is no longer there. That's where we want to put the drive, and right here on the outside. Because the water line comes down about 6 feet, 7 feet off this pole. I haven't really measured it. They actually just located here about a week or so ago. Get more accurate pinpoint, but it comes straight down, and then it turns and comes along the backside house, kind of where I got the cursor there at. And I also access in the backside right here to the utility room where the plumbing and all that stuff comes in, or the water and stuff. As far as the water line, it's a straight shot coming off the other property. It comes straight in through this wooded area. We had talked about maybe trying to do it here. This is all sinkholes area. There's nothing but sinkholes. It's all basically like where trees have fallen over and stuff like that. And, just big holes and stuff where it looks like we push trees and stuff over it down there. But there's several big, holes that you know what a sinkhole is, but on that property, along the edge, all this, and numerous, this out here is an old structure from years and years ago. It's Oak Creek Walk Foundation. And all of this right here is all sinkholes, but there's 5 or 6 of them there. We'd like to have it as closest to the house as possible. It's basically just going to be a park of cars and stuff. And that's one of the things we didn't want to get too far away from the house. I mean, or as more than going to drive and have a garage over here or whatever, and we could do something with the sinkhole stuff. We still have that far away from the house. And this is all this right here on this side is really steep terrain. I'm talking, it's almost not even simple for walking. There's a big cliff. There's a creek that runs around the back side back here. It's all falls off, goes down that creek.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Cox?
Do you plan to operate any sort of business out of this new facility?
I have a question. Do you have any plans or thoughts down the road of adding a living compartment to this structure?
No, sir, it's, at this point, we're not even had plans as far as putting electric or anything in it. It's just not in the budget, it's just will be a structure as far as putting stuff in for storage and parking cars, stuff in it, whatever it's going.
Can anyone standing on the road look up at you? Did you put the battery in the machine this morning? If I'm standing on the street, can I see your house?
No, sir. That's one of the reasons why when I bought the place, I liked it, because the other lot, I bought it and I'm leaving it grow up just for privacy reasons. It's that other lot's really, in my opinion, it's not accessible as far as building and structure, because there's so many sinkholes and stuff out there on it. I have no intention of building anything on it or removing any of the trees.
It seems to me if I were in the middle of the road looking up, all I see would be woods.
That's all it is out there. Yep, it sits back in the woods.
Question, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and is it your testimony that there is no location that you could put the structure behind the house and stay within regulation? You've talked about the septic field, distribution box, you talked about the water line, you've got the electric pole there with the cable and that easement. And so it's your testimony that there's no other place behind this house that you can put this structure and still stay within regulation?
No, and if you build something back there on sticks, you're not going to access a car back there. I mean, it's a hillside, right? You know, a real steep ravine to go down. So I think that whoever built the house, that's the reason why they did it. They nested the house back toward the edge as the closest they could before the ground started to taper off, to have that view overlooking the holler there. We had a big deck on the back that overlooks that view. And they put it back that way, they'd have a little bit of yard there behind them to put all the utilities and stuff so forth.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Cox. Amy, did we get any letters of support or opposition?
No, we've received no letters of support or opposition.
Okay, is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of the application? Opposed to the application? Jeremy, do you have any final statements or comments? Board members, questions for anybody? Okay, I'll close the floor. And general discussion among board members.
First of all, the written testimony and also the verbal testimony, I think this application needs to be consideration, and I think this is fine.
The ability of the applicant to place a building and stay within regulations is not only limited, but likely almost impossible. So I think what they're proposing is reasonable and is not an unreasonable circumvention of the regulations.
Okay, go ahead and take a motion.
Move to approve OC-21-010 based on the evidence presented that there is a limited area for the proposed structure because of existing terrain, location of septic, water lines, and power lines. The motion will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the vicinity, and will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, and is not an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements. The variance shall only apply to the application considered at the May 20th, 2021 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Been approved. We want to take a quick break to swap those out?
No.
Okay. trying to say what is the problem. All right, Mike, you want to read the second one?
Yes. Nothing, OC 21011. An application has been filed requesting a conditional use permit for a non-owner occupied short-term rental property located at 7801 Locust Lane, Crestwood.
You done?
Does it work at the moment? Look at PDF. Thank you, Mr. Riley. My name is Tom McIntyre with Oldham County Planning and Development Services. An application has been filed requesting a conditional use permit for a non-owner occupied short-term rental property located at 7801 Locust Lane, Crestwood. The site is zoned R2 and is 3.5 acres. Here we have an aerial, followed by the pavement map and the zoning map. There's no previous site history. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for a non-owner occupied short-term rental property. Per section 250050 item A states that a non-owner occupied short-term rental is the owner of the property that does not permanently reside in the short-term rental property or in the principal residential unit which the short-term rental property is associated on the same lot. Per section 250050 item B2, general provisions state the following. In zoning districts in which residential uses are permitted use, including legal non-conforming residential uses, a short-term rental of the dwelling unit that is not the primary residence of the property owner is required to obtain a conditional use permit by the appropriate Board of Adjustments. If granted the conditional use permit, the owner must comply with all special standards as outlined in the short-term rental regulations, general provision items 4 through 17. The applicant has stated that this conditional use permit has processes in place to specifically prohibit the property being used as an event space. The property will allow for 4 occupants and 2 visitors, which is below the maximum occupancy of 8 persons. The submitted plot plan shows parking for 3 cars. Per the applicant, the outdoor quiet hours are in effect from 10 p.m. to 9 a.m. The property owner's primary residence is approximately 150 feet south-southwest of the subject property. For the justification statement, the short-term rental mission plan is to provide a secluded green space in Crestwood that offers a relaxed county cabin atmosphere with an easy drive to tourist activities in the historic downtown in the historic downtown location. The property is focused towards adults who are seeking a quiet retreat while still close to Oldham's charm. Oldham County activities, restaurants, breweries, walking and hiking paths, and the Grange's train observation sites will be detailed on provided pamphlets. The property will be listed on a national website that's specifically marketed towards Oldham County parents who need a relaxing getaway from home yet do not want to leave the area. For some reason, the colors aren't working on this map. But the reason for this is this property is just north of the city of Pee Wee Valley, so it is within the city of Crestwood. So you should be able to see the yellow and the green, but it's also important to look at the red filled in shape that is the property owner's primary residence. And the highlight or the outlined red is the subject property. On the left, you have the survey of the property submitted by the applicant. It's kind of tough to see, but there is, I've highlighted the driveway. So on the left, you can see where it kind of meanders through the property. On the right side, you have the floor plan. On the bottom right, it says the existing structure is approximately 250 feet from the nearest northern property line, 150 feet from the nearest southern property line, 150 feet from the nearest eastern property line, and 20 feet from the nearest western property line. Here we have site visit photos. So now we're looking into the site. Moving through, as I said, the driveway meanders. Moving through. And here we are getting to the house. So here's what I call the split. So we're going to take a right and go towards the water. Here's the circular pavement driveway. There's some water on the property. Here we cross over Red Bridge and up the hill to the cabin. Another picture of the cabin. And we move back towards this split, which is right here, and back out towards the property. In summary, the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for a non-owner occupied short-term rental property at 7801 Locust Lane, Prestwick. Be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions for Tom?
Well, early in your presentation, there was a part about how they're limited, you can't use it for certain things. Can you expand on that?
Well, I would ask you to, that would be the question for the applicant.
Okay.
And just to be clear, you're talking about number one, the applicant has stated that the conditional use permit has processes in place to specifically prohibit the property being used as an event space?
Yes, and in our packet, there was a part that talked about the quiet hours from 10 to 9.
These are imposed by the applicant. That's for the justification, that's correct.
I have a question. On your presentation, it talks about quiet hours, but on the applicant's material that was submitted in support, it says without quiet hours between 10 and 9. Is that a typo?
I would imagine so.
All right, other questions? Thank you, Tom. We can have the applicant come forward, please. Morning.
Good morning.
You can state your name and address.
Jay Saunders, 6900 Jamie Lane, Crestwood, Kentucky.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If you can justify the project.
In 2014, some close family friends of ours were selling land that they had accumulated over the prior 30 years that was adjacent to both their house and ours. The land in question is the land that's being referenced. Since that time, well, the land, as you saw, has a very nice little quarry. It's a historical spot and has a cabin that is built off the quarry. Very nice little spot. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Hasn't been updated in a really long time. And for the past 6 or so, 7 years, my family has used it as a nice weekend retreat, a place to get away, but not too far away. Taught my kids how to fish in the quarry. Fortunately, my kids are mostly growing up, and so now we really don't get to use it much as a family retreat. And with that being said, we've decided to use it as an opportunity for, on a national scale, advertised, but regional, local, Oldham County specifically, focused through word of mouth as a retreat for couples who would like to get away from home, but not be too far away from home. And it's very much the same as what we used the cabin for, a place to go for the weekends while grandparents or friends were watching. So specifically to address concerns about it being a short-term or an unintentional event space, I live 150 feet from this cabin, and I have a history with it, as well as 2 of the 3 immediate neighbors who are close family friends. I have no interest whatsoever in this turning into an issue, and I'll shut it down if it does. My very first house rule, which will be published both every time this gets advertised and prominently within the location itself, is there will be no parties or events hosted. There will be 4 scheduled guests. That means guests that we know who are going to be there, and up to 2 visitors on the property. So that is a total of 6 people who will be allowed on the property. There is paved parking on the location for 3 cars, which I can imagine 6 guests are going to need more than 3 cars, but that's going to be the limit. In addition to that, the second house rule is this is a peaceful property, and outdoor quiet hours are from 10 p.m. to 9 a.m. That means that there will be no music, no noise outdoor of the cabin from 10 p.m. to 9 a.m. So that being said, most of the rest of the rules, and really the whole purpose of this location is exactly what it looks like. It is intended to be a place for couples to retreat, to come, to relax, to get a little bit of a taste of Gatlinburg without leaving Oldham County. And as a side, my goal is to include information about things to do in range, places to visit, restaurants to eat, and that's as much as anything because I support the area. I really think it would be nice for people who are transplanting into Oldham County to be able to know what we offer here as well.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. Any other questions for Jay? I have one. The applicant on what we have, our packet here, the applicant is 10th Meeting Nature Sanctuary LLC. What is your relationship to that?
10th Meeting Nature Sanctuary LLC is an LLC that my wife and I created when we purchased this property, specifically so that we would be able to keep the liability of the property to itself rather than also have our house, which is directly adjacent to it. And so she and I are sole members, and it exists as an LLC for the land to exist with.
Okay. All right. And is Beach your legal counsel?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions for Jay? Okay. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of the application? Opposed to the application? Final statements, Jay? Anything else? Thank you. Tom, did we have any letters of support or opposition?
No, sir, no letters of support nor opposition.
Board members, questions for anybody? Okay, I'm going to close the floor for public hearing, open it up for general discussion.
Thank you for good project. And everybody hear me okay? I have a weak voice anyway. What happens when you get over 35? You've heard that. I heard what the applicant said. I agree with him. I think it's a fine project. And everybody will have a good time. So I have no problem with it.
Same here. Okay, I'm willing to take a motion.
I move approval of the application submitted under docket OC 21011 for a conditional use permit for a non-owner occupied short-term rental property because the conditional use permit will allow proper integration into the community of the use specifically naming the zoning regulation, character and objectives of the proposed use, and any potential impacts on the community and its surroundings are appropriate. And the applicant will apply for and be issued a short-term rental property permit before renting the property. This conditional use permit will apply only to the application considered at the May 20, 2021 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing.
Thank you, Fred. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? They're approved. Okay, if you'd like to read the next one, please.
Dr. OC 21.
It's hard to hear. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay, here, because I can't hear here. Loud as you can. Be loud like me.
An application has been filed requesting a road frontage variance for a proposed tract located at 3129 Neville Lee Drive in Prospect.
All right. Good morning again. Amy Albee with Oldham County Planning and Development Services. As Mr. Riley stated, this is an application requesting a road frontage variance for proposed tract at 3129 Neville Mead Drive in Prospect. The property is zoned CO1 conservation and AG1 agricultural. The total site size is approximately 140 acres. The proposed tract is 1.4 acres. This is a zoomed out version of the aerial. You'll see the actual 140 acres is outlined there in red. The blue circle is the area in the southwestern corner of the property that is the subject of today. So this is the zoomed in version here. This shows the overall zoning of CO1 and AG1. Regarding history, on August 31st of 1997, the Oldham County Board of Adjustments approved docket 2729, a road frontage variance request allowing a 9.2 acre tract to be created with 0 road frontage. And the reason is where it says English Way. Trying to get the mouse to come back up. It's right here. So at the end of English, this is where the public roadway ends. Then it becomes private at this point. So that's why they had to receive a road frontage variance there. Then on July 18th of 1998, the Oldham County Board of Adjustments approved docket 2854, a road frontage variance requesting allowing a 2.361 acre tract to be created, again with 0 road frontage. It's same scenario as the last. The public roadway ends here and then it turns into an access easement. And then finally, on May 19th of 2016, the Oldham County Board of Adjustments approved a road frontage variance allowing a 1.09 acre tract to be created, again with 0 road frontage. This again is where it terminates, actually is down here, the public roadway that creates that tract with 0 road frontage. So again, the applicant is requesting a road frontage variance to create a 1.4 acre tract at Neville Drive with frontage of 71.66 feet. Section 020 states the minimum road frontage requirement for parcels in AG1 zoning district under 2.5 acres shall be 150 feet, therefore requiring a variance of 78.34 feet. This is the survey that was submitted with the application. You'll see here where it says tract 1 of 1.4 acres, highlighted here in yellow, and it shows the frontage here of 71.66 feet. This is will be a 40-foot access and utility easement here for the existing drive that will serve this tract. This is an aerial view with an overlay of that tract. So you'll see highlighted here in blue the proposed tract. The proposed tract will use the existing paved driveway which we placed in an access easement. The proposed tract will be conveyed to the owner's daughter. So you'll see here, this is the existing paved drive that serves 3129. That will be put in an access easement. Per the applicant's justification statement, other properties in the area, English Way and Harrods Creek Drive, have been granted similar variances and would deprive the owners from giving their daughter the lot and live next door. The proposed lot will be on a paved roadway with existing utilities along the roadway and is comparable to the other lots within the area. And finally, the variance will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity as the area surrounding the property is predominantly single family with lots that are similar in character to the applicant's proposed lot size. So this is at the driveway that will be put into the access easement if approved, looking into the property. To your right or to the east of this is the proposed lot location. This is looking north, so this is to the north of the existing drive at Neville Mead Drive. This is the west, so this again is kind of northwest because this is across the street to the north a little bit. This is the west, so this is directly across the street from the drive and lot. And then this is the east view, looking into the tract. So if you look at the site map, the star is the area. Looking into it, you can see the lake here. And then this is more of the kind of the south view. This is looking back. This is Neville Mead here, Drive. This is the lot area here. There's the lake. And again, this is just another picture of looking, again, if you use your site map here, it shows the red star, so that's the area that was standing, taking the picture. So this is just looking into the lake, and the proposed tract is on the other side of these large cedar trees. So in summary, the applicant is requesting a road frontage variance for a proposed tract at 3129 Neville Mead Drive. The required road frontage is 150 feet. The requested road frontage is 71.66 feet. Therefore, the variance requested is 78.34 feet. The only potential condition of approval that staff has recommended is that the variance shall only apply to the application considered at the May 20th, 2021 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Well, I've got a couple. I'm a little, yeah, stay on that one, I guess. So over the years, the access easement that's outlined in yellow, this tract has been subdivided a few times.
It's on the other side of the property. Let me go back to the other divisions were over here or here off of English Way. So this is a
Where's the lake?
the lake is right here.
Okay.
This is the lake. So English, it splits. There's a Y there. So to the right is English Way. To the left is Neville Mead.
Okay.
So the other variances were on this portion of the farm.
Right.
This is the area that is today.
So what I'm looking at here, what's in red is the 140 acre tract.
Correct.
And then starting in 97, maybe before, I don't know, what the, what's the smaller red outline is what was subdivided previously.
Correct.
And then it was subdivided again in 98 and then again in 16. Today we're looking at what's circled in blue. Can you just with the mouse show me generally the 98 and the 2016?
This is 98,
Yeah.
or 97, 98,
Yeah.
2016.
So today we're looking at 1.4 acres circled in blue,
Yes.
and the rest is the residual of the 140 acre tract.
Correct.
All right. And, okay. And I'm going to ask the applicant the same question, but if the blue line, if they were the road frontage of Neville Mead Drive, they are asking for that variance for a remaining 70, so what's in blue is 71 feet. They need 150 feet. If we give them, if they weren't here, where would that 150 foot take it to? And does that encroach on the tracts that were previously subdivided? Or is that still part of the 140 acre residual tract? You understand my question?
Well, the 100 and, I think you've got to look at conceptually the distance between the two. This is the, let me go back a little bit more. So they're wanting to create the tract right here. The other tracts were all over here.
So what's outlined, what's circled in here is part of the lake.
Correct. That's just giving you an area. That's not the 1.4 acres in scale.
The 1. All right. So just take note that the circle is part of the lake. Now go back to the previous what they're asking for, which is keep going.
That's what they're asking for right here. You can see the edge. Here's the edge of water right here. See where it says pond? That's the edge of water. And then this is the 25-foot utility easement here.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying if the requested tract extends to the lake, they would have the 100. Yeah, it extends to there. They could get the 150 foot road frontage and not be here today.
Correct.
Now, in doing that, does that encroach on the tract that was subdivided in 97? Or in doing that, is that still part of the 140 residual tract?
Part of the 140.
So it is.
So they're clearly far apart.
All right. So it is entirely possible, and I want to ask the applicant the same thing, it's entirely possible for them to do that and not be here today and still stay within regulation of the
You have to
100.
ask the justification of why they don't want to extend it into the lake or through the easement.
Thank you. Any other questions for Amy?
line question clear.
All right, thank you, Amy. If I could have the applicant come forward. Morning.
Morning.
And are you representing English Farm LLC?
Yes.
Sean Spalding, Spokane and Ogden, 500 West Jefferson Street, Louisville, Kentucky, 40202.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
All right, thank you, Sean. Go ahead and justify the project.
Yes, so as said, I am here representing the applicant as part of the variance request. And so, Ms. Albee did a great job already laying out the general vicinity of the property. So here, just pointing out the general area around the property surrounding our variance request. The applicant's property, as we've already noted, is the large 140-acre parcel that substantially surrounds Neville Mead Golf Course and the surrounding single-family area. Here is the more zoomed-in picture. It gives you a good idea of the pond area that will be the subject of a couple of points that we'll discuss. So the applicant is requesting the variance down to 71.66 feet from the 150-foot road frontage requirement in order to create a 1.4-acre tract to be developed for single-family use. So the justifications that we have for requesting the variance today I've laid out here are substantially that the variance arises from a special circumstance on the applicant's property being the large pond. The strict application of the frontage requirement would substantially deprive the applicant of their ability to use that portion of the property for single-family use. Approving this variance would not change the surrounding character of single-family homes in the area. Approving the variance will also not affect the public health, welfare, or safety, and approving the variance will not unreasonably circumvent the existing zoning. And I'll lay out each one of those points. So the first one, as discussed, is the large pond is currently, based on where it is located, both in terms of its overall size and its proximity to the public access on Neville Mead Drive, substantially limits how much street frontage can be obtained between the existing paved driveway and where the pond is actually located. So the second point is the deprivation of the intended use as continuing the current 140-acre farm's multi-generational family use. And so the applicant's intent is to convey each one of the two tracts to be created from these two recognizable front yard tracts that are currently serving where 3129 is, the single-family residence, to grant that down to their children to create a more multi-generational on property. So the surrounding area, as noted, is predominantly single family, and so you can see the area substantially southwest has been developed over the years, and the applicant's property will be substantially similar and in line with those other single family properties. We will not be changing, there will not be any effect on the public health safety public welfare, as we are not requesting or adding any additional points of ingress or egress along Neville Mead Drive. We will be using the existing driveway, and the property will be effectively accessed off of that private access easement with the existing paved driveway. And with respect to zoning, if you actually look at the property and the way the property is going to be accessed, we're substantially complying with the spirit of the zoning requirement, in that where the property will actually, from which the property will actually be accessed, is far in excess of, it will have far in excess of 150 feet of frontage along the access easement. You can see in the top left-hand corner, the first leg of that frontage, L4, is already 166 feet. So the aggregate amount of frontage is far in excess of what the minimum zoning would require as a practical matter. And so if you look at kind of that leg of what's labeled as the pond, it's really a lake. Where the property line is designated to end, you can see the reality of kind of the visual and physical spacing. What you'll actually see from the public road is almost 200 feet of visual frontage along Neville Mead Drive. The reason why it was stopped a little bit short of that runoff area, I will defer to the engineer who actually surveyed and laid out the lines on the exact reasons. But you can see that from a substantial compliance and adhering to the spirit of the actual requirement, the property will be visually far in compliance with the requested or with the required zone. So, in summation, what we're looking for is the motion to approve the requested variance based on the listed factors. It does not adversely affect public health, safety, welfare. It does not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, being a single family. It does not cause a hazard, nuisance, or infringe upon the public health, safety, welfare. And the granting the variance approval does not unreasonably circumvent the zoning requirement, both because the frontage is limited because of that large pond, and also the amount of frontage that is being provided along the actual access point of the private easement is far in excess of what the zoning would require.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Any questions for Sean?
So Sean, if I understood the testimony that you just presented, the intent would be to build a building, but the access point for the driveway would actually be to the private drive, not to the main road.
Correct. Sean, I don't think I ever got my question answered. I think you said you would defer to the engineer, but why can we not extend the outline and still stay within compliance of the regulation?
I'm not sure why the engineer elected to move the property line up to that point, other than to say that this way, that this particular tract stays out of any ownership of the lake, because that portion of the area is still substantially considered part of the lake, as it will use some of the runoff water, and that will feed into the lake. And so that lake is important to the overall operation of the adjacent property, and so it was important to the current owner that the pond and lake, that lake stays still substantially connected to the larger property, as it's necessary for the usefulness of that water. And so that tract is intended for purely single family, doesn't need any actual access to the property.
Back to that slide.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Sorry. There we go.
right, what's outlined in blue there, you said is greater than 100, the blue line is greater than 150 feet, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we can extend, and again, I would want to speak with the engineer, but we could extend the property and stay within the regulation and not encroach upon the pond.
There's enough feet there, yes. I will defer to the engineer on why he opted to not do that.
Is the engineer here? Okay, all right, we'll get you in a second. Any other questions for Sean? Okay, thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you, go ahead and state your name and address.
My name is Morris Talbot, 319 Tucker Station Road, Louisville, Kentucky, 40243.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I wanted to answer your question regarding the boundary lines that we've established on this plat. The area that you're looking at there between sort of along those cedar trees there, the kind of darker line that you're looking at, that is actually the overflow for the lake. And the lake is used for irrigation purposes for the golf course, which the Englishes operate. Their daughter, Melanie, is here. Melanie is wanting to build on this lot. She actually works at the golf course. The Englishes are here, the owners, who live at 3129, which is the end of the driveway that you see going back to their house. And families been back there for many years, hundreds of years. But that's the reason we can't encroach on the overflow. It's actually, it doesn't show when you're looking at an aerial photograph there, but that's actually a channel that is cut out in case there's significant rainfall and the dam itself. To protect the dam, we want to keep the line above the overflow. You can see on the other side of the road, that's the outlet of the overflow. So it's viable that we keep it at least in the same ownership as the golf course. Thank you.
Any other questions?
So explain to me more of that in detail, please, because what you're telling me that the end of that area there where the trees are, there is a dam in that place?
The dam itself is essentially the roadway. You cross the road, across the dam, you're along the roadway, that is the dam. What you're looking at here is a channel that's been cut into the rock. In case there's too much water coming up, it can bypass, instead of going over the dam, it can bypass along this channel. It's an overflow. And I think there's two large culverts under the road there that you might even be able to see, which carries the water from the overflow. It's an emergency spillway.
Okay, so to state it a different way, would it be appropriate to say that maintaining access to that so it's not blocked is essential?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
So is what you're saying is the reason you don't want to convey it to this separate property is because it's essential for the roadway purposes so that would not be, so if you sold that off and someone decided to put concrete in there, it would then effectively make it where the water would have to run over the roadway. So maintaining access to that with who owns the lake would be important so that the new owner, if there was a problem in the future or something, decided, I'm just pouring concrete in there and blocking it.
That's correct. That's precisely the reason that the owner wants to keep control and ownership of that area.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I have thank you. You may take a seat. Sean, I have another question for you. I believe Robin had asked about access. The access easement is going to service the access for this property, is that correct? Is currently servicing access to 3 other properties or tracts, is that correct?
No, it is currently only servicing the residential on the larger 140 acres.
Sorry, the other ones, okay, very good, thank you.
So is there, the question, and the reason I asked that question is because it's basically testimony that would be the access, then there needs to be a access, and to give the technical word of it.
As part of the minor plat process, when these lots are created, they also have to submit an access and maintenance agreement for that 40 foot that says who's allowed to use it and who's the responsibilities for the maintenance of it. And that's part of the minor plat process, which is not under the purview of this board.
So we don't need to have that anything as a condition, because that will be handled in the process.
Correct. That is a requirement of the minor plat process. You are correct.
All right, any other questions? The applicant? Don, thank you. Is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of the application? Opposed to the application? Amy, did we get any letters of support or opposition?
No letters of support or opposition were received.
Thank you. Any final statements, final words? Good. Board members, questions for anybody in the audience? Okay, I'll close the floor for public hearing. Open it up for general discussion.
From what I've heard, it seems like it's a reasonable request, fits all the requirements.
I think the question that I think Larry, you began was why not make that way? I think the testimony about why we're maintaining access to that, control that for the lake and the property and the safety of the community makes it where that's a reasonable expectation to be able to make controls. The variance would seem reasonable given the fact that that is what will be keeping the lake from eroding the road.
Fred, anything?
I can support this project.
Okay. I'm ready for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve docket OC 21-012 for a road frontage variance of 78.34 feet in order to create a 1.4 acre tract fronting Neville Mead Drive with frontage of 71.66 feet. Applicant is asking for this variance because he plans to give this land to his daughter, and she can build a home next door. Additional support for approval is will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public. Variance is not necessarily completely circumvent the zoning requirement. Conditions of approval. Minor plat application and survey must be submitted to staff for review and approval. 2. Variance shall only apply to the application considered at the May 20th, 2021 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. That is my motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? They're approved.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to request a short recess.
Now I get a motion.
Moved.
Second. Thank you, Fred. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? 5-minute recess. Please make sure you turn the mics off. Need a motion to come back into session. Thank you, Rob. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Back in session. Board Member Riley, if you'd like to read the next one, please.
Docket OC 21-013. Application has been filed requesting application variance for proposed structure located at 6905 Harry Circle, Crestwood.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Again, good morning. My name is Tom McIntyre with Oldham County Planning and Development Services. Mr. Riley stated the application has been filed requesting a location variance for a proposed accessory structure located at 6905 Harry Circle, Crestwood. The site is zoned CO1 Conservation is 5 acres. Here we have an aerial, followed by the pavement, followed by the zoning map. For section 250.030E, no accessory use or structure shall be located in between the principal building and the front property line. The applicant is requesting a location variance to allow for a proposed 768 square foot detached garage to be 156 feet from the front property line, which is approximately 42 feet in front of the principal structure and 10 feet from the side property line. The applicant's front yard is approximately 1.5 acres. The primary structure sits roughly 66 yards or 198 feet from Perry Circle, which limits options for potential garage locations. A large portion of the applicant's property lies in the floodplain, leaving the only feasible option on the south side of the home. Here we have another aerial. So as you can see, there's a contours followed by the floodplain in blue. The floodplain takes up quite a bit, so I'd say close to 50%. As you can see there's a red arrow that is showing the elevation drop from elevation of 706 feet to elevation of 676. So you have a 30-foot drop in a pretty short distance, and that's just off the rear of the house. For the applicant's justification statement, based on the land structure, which is hills, floodplain, creek, septic, and utility locations, in addition to the home location, much of the property is unusable for any auxiliary benefits. Zarin Farm neighborhood has a number of homes with auxiliary garage structures due to the size of the lots being advantageous for adding additional garage space. The proposed auxiliary structure will mirror the architectural and color schemes of the current home. The submitted plan for the applicant. On the bottom left, you can see a yellow structure that is the proposed structure. It is 247.5 feet from the northern property line, 156 feet from the western property line, which was essentially the right of way for Perry Lane. It's 10 feet from the southern property line and 933 feet from the eastern property line. Here we have site pictures. Out on site, the proposed location for the building was staked out, made it very easy for staff to determine where the building is. In addition, I've drawn a blue graphic showing where the proposed location will be. Again, this is looking towards the house. It's showing that the front of the proposed structure will be 42 feet in front of the existing primary structure, which is the house. Here we have another picture of the house. Here we are looking north, west across Perry Circle, and south. In summary, an application has been filed requesting a location variance for a proposed accessory structure located at 6905 Perry Circle in Preston. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Go back to one which had yes, that one.
All right. Any more questions for Tom? Thanks, Tom.
I'm the applicant. My name is Stephen Cole, 6905 Perry Circle in Crestwood.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. So I'm not a building professional. My wife and I just moved in this home in February. And if you look at the topography, septic location, utility lines, and Asher's run, and additionally 2 other creek runoffs that are on the property, really have limited the location for an auxiliary structure for us. I drive a regular truck off the lot. She drives a car, we have a boat, and now a lawnmower. With our current home, my truck doesn't fit in the garage, the boat doesn't fit in the garage, the lawnmower barely does. So that's why we're proposing to build an auxiliary structure in the form of a detached garage. I consulted 3 different building professionals, looked at various places on the property. All 3 of them told me that the proposed location is the only location due to the topography on the south side of the home falling off the hill into Asher's Run. They're ultimately saying it's not possible to build a stable and structural building in that location, depending on how much they have to build up the land, settle, fall away, that sort of stuff. On the northern side of the property home, that's where the septic's located, as well as a lot of utility lines. The septic also runs from the north side of the home toward the west side with the overflow sprinkler system, and then that's where heavy utility lines are as well. There's also one additional utility line on the west side that's basically it's the internet line that runs directly through the middle of the property to the home. So that's why the proposed location is there on the south side. It actually backs up to a neighbor's auxiliary structure. And within the dairy farm, the neighborhood itself, it's about 30 properties that are all roughly 5+ acres. And if you drop around that property, majority of which do have post-frame structures, detached garages, like I'm proposing. That's it.
Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of the application? Opposed to the application? Tom, letters?
Staff did not receive any letters of support or opposition.
Tom, what is the, they want to go 10 feet from the side?
That's correct.
Is that not the CO1? What's the regulation?
For an accessory structure, you have to be 5 feet off your side of your
Any final statements? Board members, questions for anybody? I do, actually. If you can come forward again. You may have said this. I apologize if you did. Commercial, is there going to be any commercial use out of this?
No commercial use, no plan for water or electric in the immediate future, maybe down the road. Just similar to the first case you heard, structure for boat, truck, lawnmower.
Personal storage.
Personal use, yep.
There's going to be a second level on the building.
No, sir. 24 by 32, just post frame, insulated, and then raw on the inside.
Board members, any other questions for anybody? Okay, I'm going to close the floor. Open it up for general discussion.
I think it's a straightforward application, and I'm in favor of it.
Likewise.
The topography is the issue here, and often we see with septic, we have septic issues, so there's only a limited access, or limited area. Even if you try to go to the other side of the house, you can see where the property or the fall-off line on the overhead is in front of us. It makes it where it would be very difficult to build a structure of that size. That's why the house is where it is more than likely time and thing.
All right, I'm ready to take a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve docket OC 21-013 for a location variance for proposed structure beside this driveway in front of his home. This variance is required because both of the applicant's land sits on the floodplain, and the residence is almost 200 feet from the road located in the rear part of the property. In addition, location placement is further hampered by septic tank and lateral fields. Further application support is because this property is located on a private road and is not in use of any public street, will not alter the essential character or of the general vicinity, will not allow the unreasonable circumvention of requirements of zoning regulations. Conditions of approval. This variance shall only apply to the application considered at the May 20, 2021 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. This structure shall not be used for commercial purposes or as living space. That is my motion.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? It's been approved. Okay, Mike, if you'd like to read the next one, please.
Docket OC 21-014. An application has been filed requesting variances in the size of electronic sign and maximum sign area for proposed freestanding signs located at 6421 West Highway 146.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Again, my name is Tom McIntyre, Oldham County Planning and Development Services. An application has been filed requesting variances in the size of electronic sign and maximum sign area for proposed freestanding signs located at 6421 West Highway 146 in Crestwood. Zoning of the property is split zone to C2 and C3. It's 1.34 acres in size. Here we have an aerial, pavement, and your zoning map. So be sure to note that it's split zone C2 on the left, or the west side rather, and C3 on the right, on the east side. For the site history, on April 20th, 1995, a front yard setback variance was approved by a vote of 4 to 0. On November 27th, the zoning map amendment from R2 to C2 was recommended for approval by the Oldham County Planning Commission. The Crestwood City Commission by a vote of 13 to 0. The zoning map amendment was then approved by the Crestwood City Commission by ordinance number 2, series 2002 on January 9th, 2002. On December 20, 2001, a conditional use permit to allow for an off-premise sign was approved by a vote of 5 to 0. Again, the applicant is requesting variances for 2 freestanding monument signs. Sign number 1 will be along Kentucky Highway 329 frontage. Sign number 2 will be along Kentucky Highway 146 frontage. Again, the subject property split zone C2 and C3. These 2 separate commercial zoning designations dictate both the size of the electronic sign and the maximum sign area. Again, here's the plat from the applicant. On the 329 frontage, you can see sign number 1 that is 5 feet off the right of way. Sign number 2, which is 15 feet off the right of way. So those are the setbacks. The proposed freestanding sign number 1 along Kentucky Highway 329. So that frontage will be set back 5 feet from the property line. The proposed freestanding sign number 2 will be set back 15 feet. The proposed freestanding signs will contain 2 components, a static sign and an electronic sign. The static portion will be 48.1 square feet, and the electronic portion will be 48 square feet, totaling 96.1 square feet per each sign. Both proposed signs, number 1 and number 2, will be the same size and will be double-sided. Here's one of these submissions from the applicant showing the proposed sign. The static sign up top, on the top portion, will be 48.1 square feet. There's a 4x12 watchfire digital display that is 48 square feet. Therefore, total is 96.1. On the bottom, the way the staff calculates the square footage of a sign is that double face signs, the sign area is of one sign face only. So it may be 96 for one side, 96 for the other. Staff only looks at it as 96.1 for one side, and that's how it's calculated. For section 290-0902, square footage of the electronic sign shall not exceed 50% of the total allowable square footage for freestanding or monument signs for the zoning district in which the sign is located, or shall not exceed 24 square feet, whichever is lesser. Again, I have a screenshot of the regulation from the ordinance. For section 290-105A, which is the section that speaks to the C2 zoning designation, the sign that is set back 5 feet cannot exceed 15 feet in height and 24 square feet in area. This proposed freestanding sign hereby referred to as sign 1 is located on the Kentucky 329 frontage. Again, here's another screenshot from the ordinance showing the chart. If it's set back 5 feet to less than 10, maximum sign height is 15, and the maximum sign area is 24. Proposed sign number 1 will overall be 96.1 square feet, which is 72.1 over the maximum allowable sign area of 24 square feet. The electronic portion of proposed sign number 1 will be 48 square feet, which is 36 square feet over the allowable maximum electronic sign area of 12 square feet. For section 290-106A, which speaks to the C3 zoning designation, the sign that is set back 15 feet cannot exceed 25 feet in height and 50 square feet in sign area. This proposed freestanding sign, hereby referred to as sign number 2, is located along Kentucky Highway 146. Again, another screenshot from the ordinance. If the sign is set back 15 to less than 20, the maximum sign height is 25 feet. The maximum sign area is 50 feet, 50 square feet. Proposed sign number 2 will overall be 96.1 square feet, which is 46.1 square feet over the allowable maximum allowable sign area of 50 square feet. The electronic portion of sign number 2 will be 48 square feet, which is 24 square feet over the maximum allowable sign area of 24 square feet. For the applicant's justification statement, locations that have electronic message centers generate 29% more new accounts and 9% more consumer loans than branches that do not have EMUs or an electronic message unit. The style and size of sign is requested at all locations, and they operate in 3 states. With the investment made in the new branch, it is crucial to be able to operate 2 EMU signs on this location to better communicate what they can offer to the consumers. Here we have pictures from site visit. So here we are at sign number 1 along Kentucky 229 frontage. Here's where the proposed sign will be. Here's sign number 2, looking south on Kentucky 146 towards Pewee Valley. Here's where proposed sign number 2 will be. We're looking south across 329 at CBS. Looking cat-a-corner to the intersection at Craig and Landry. Here we're looking at east across 146 at McDonald's. In summary, the applicant is requesting a variance in the maximum sign area. This is the maximum sign area of sign number 1. The allowable square footage is 24 square feet. The applicant is requesting the sign to be 96.1 square feet, therefore requesting a size variance of 72.1 square feet. In addition, the maximum electronic sign, or the applicant is requesting a variance in the maximum electronic sign area. The allowable square footage is 12 square feet. The applicant is requesting the electronic sign to be 48 square feet. Therefore, the applicant is requesting a variance of 36. This is for sign number 1 on 329. For sign number 2 on 146, the allowable square footage is 50 square feet. The applicant is requesting a square footage, requesting the square footage to be 96.1. Therefore, the variance would be 46.1 square feet. In regards to the electronic sign, the allowable square footage is 24 square feet. The applicant is requesting their sign to be, the electronic portion of the sign to be 48 square feet. Therefore, the variance will be 24. And this morning, I submitted a revised staff report to the board and briefed each of you on the adjustment that was made, or moving to point 1. That is all I have. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Can you go back to the pictures where you show the proposed signs? No, I'm sorry, ones where you have it on site. Now, as you got it there, it's showing it at an angle. Is that consistent with what the applicant's saying, or is that what you believe? You know that?
I couldn't take too great of pictures. I couldn't get into the site that I chained off. So this is just simply me trying to produce something for you to look at. Yes.
Okay, I'll ask the applicant.
Tom, I've got a few questions for you. This one, sign number 1's on 329. Is this the one that falls within CO2?
This is C2.
This is C2. And the one on 146 is the C3.
That's correct.
And that's why we have the different regulations. For this one, go to the little chart that you had that showed, yeah, that right there.
This is for C3.
So we'll stick with this one first. So this is for sign number 2. Correct. And the maximum square footage is 25 feet is the height, Are we not exceeding the height on the request?
Correct. The height, I believe, is 8 feet, 10 feet 4 inches.
Okay. And the same holds true with sign number 1. We don't exceed the height. Is that correct? Correct. 15 feet, okay. Go back to the picture of the example of what the sign, yeah, that right there. Okay. Any other questions for Tom? Thank you, John. If we could have the applicant come forward.
I'm Scott Elbers with Customer Sign.
Solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And real quick, the applicant that we have here is the Evansville Teachers Federal Credit Union. Are you guys with credit? Okay, and are you all represented by legal counsel? Gotcha. Very good, thank you. So we'll come to you in a second. Thank you. Mr. Scott.
Yes, like I said, we're here with Liberty Financial, which is a division of the Evansville Teachers Credit Union. They do operate 26 branches in 3 different states. The signs that we are proposing today do tie in very nicely with the architecture of the building. They do meet the setback codes with the 2 different zones. We also are far below the maximum height. I did travel to the area this morning and I looked at adjacent signs. I really feel that this is going to fit well if we were approved with other signs within this area. This sign is actually going to be much smaller than some of the signs in that area. We said we are 5 foot off of the property line. I think in the illustration there, it kind of looks like we're a whole lot closer to that, to the street. Actually, I think we're a little bit further back than that illustration. On the 329 side, on the 146 side, we're 15 foot back. So we need to step back. We're far below the height restriction. If we were to meet code, our sign would be on the 146 side would be 25% of what we're requesting. What that does is it reduces our letter height on our sign to about 8 inches in letter height. The National Sign Association says that 1 inch in letter height is visible from about 30 feet. So that would give us about 240 feet of visibility. Our entrance to the property on that side of the building is about 300 feet from the intersection. So we're going to have, if you're traveling at about 30, 35 miles an hour, you're going to have less than 4 seconds of visibility. That we feel that that's not enough for what we need, which is why we're asking for, the larger sign on that side. You go to the other side, we're a little closer to the road, which does help our visibility, but the road is a little wider. You have 2 lanes of traffic there. So, it's a little bit farther distance on the one side of the road. And there, you have a little bit more distance, but the reaction time is still about 4.5 seconds, if you calculate that out. We are out of the side triangle. We're not going to, block traffic, so we're not going to be public, nuisance or, cause injury or traffic flow. And like we stated in there, they do operate some branches. We're in the process of trying to get electronic message centers at every location. The reason why is because they do see with the locations that do have electronic message centers about a 29% increase. Those are numbers based off of February numbers. New checking accounts were 178 with digital, and without digital about 128. So you can see why they really would like to have the electronic message center. So that's 29%. And then new consumer loans in February with digital, they had about 70 new consumer loans. and without 64. You can see that they really do generate business. I'll be happy to ask them or answer any questions.
I have a question. You're under construction, or the facility's under construction right now, is that correct? And before you go into construction, you had to have your site plan approved, is that correct? And if the site plan is approved for everything, including the signs, what are you doing to it?
The architect put the signs located on the site plan based on what we have done in the past at other locations. I'm not sure if he followed the ordinance. Obviously, it looks like he did not. So that's the reason why when we file our permits, then you come in a little bit behind time, obviously, but ask for a variance, unfortunately. And also, before we was not putting electronic signs at every location or trying to or attempting to. But once they started looking at the numbers, that's the reason why they're adding those. So before, when we didn't have digital, we did need to hold on to one side of the building, within reason.
Your earlier testimony, you made a comment about comparison to other signs. I guess I'm looking for more details on that, because if I see the sign that's on the screen for us right now, this is bigger than 3 sheets of plywood laid side. If I laid 3 sheets of plywood, 4 foot, 4 foot, 4 foot, and 8 foot tall, it'd still be almost 3 foot taller. And we would, I'm trying to understand what signage in those areas that you believe are bigger than this.
My belief is that the Dodge dealership, which was shown in here, actually that sign package is actually the full sign is a little larger than what ours is.
That sign has been there for many, many years. It was under a different set of rules and regulations. Today, we have to go by today's rules and regulations.
So maybe I'm missing it in the notes. This, what's before us here, is this the actual size of the sign and layout, or is this just an example of the EMU on top of the static? Is this the actual dimensions of the signs that you'll be putting in?
If approved.
10 feet high, 4 inches by 12 feet, almost 13 feet wide.
The sign is also halo lit, so it's not face lit, but the ID portion. Of course, the message center would be, but the ID portion of that sign is a very elegant look.
And I'm sorry, for sign number 1, the one that's going to be along 329, that's going to be 5 feet from the property line. Sign 2 is where?
Sign 2 is 15 feet off the property line, off the right of way. Now the right of way is actually just a little bit back into the grass. It's not actually the edge of the pavement.
Would you put up a picture that has the one where it's 5 feet away from the property line, from the roadway? No, the actual, when you post the sign. Is that a fair representation?
I do not think so. If you look here, as you're going, you can see the oncoming traffic. If you look here at the edge of the pavement, the sign is back further. Let's say that normally the telephone poles are put on the right within reason. So if you look across there to the other side, it's actually back. So we'll be 5 foot further back from you. The way that's placed, it would actually be in the side triangle. If you look at the actual the layup here, we're actually back just a little further.
So on the height as well, I think what I'm seeing here, if I look at at what's close to it in terms of those cones and the stand-up barriers that says Peyton's on the,
Yes.
barricade. I also believe that representation is not nearly as tall as it really would be.
I believe you're correct, yes. Now, it's also understand you only count the actual sign area, is that correct? So if we was to take like a 5 by 10 and put it 25 feet in the air, we could put a pole cover, you know, let's say 7 or 8 feet wide and put there. So we'd actually have more square footage at that point than what we're actually proposing. I know that that's not the live area or lighted area, but you could have actually more square footage and sign than what we actually are proposing. Just like in our sign, they're not counting the square footage of the converted base in our square footage.
But what is counted in that is the electronic message
Correct.
and then the static on top.
That is correct, yes. I think it's far back here, there's a maroon or burgundy colored sign, and I think that's what they did, they took and put like a 5 by 10 sign, you know, to meet code, but then they put an aluminum pole cover, you know, a pretty good width all the way down. It actually looks larger than what our sign will be.
Can you put the chart back up, please, that had the regulations? Got that? Fine. Any other questions for the applicants? Thank you, Scott. You all have any additional to add? Is there anybody, Tom, did we get any letters of support or opposition?
Staff did not receive any letters of support or opposition.
No. Is there anybody here wishing to speak in support of the application? Opposed to the application? Final words, final statements? Board members? Jim?
I think we should get the attorney's name and address into the record because we've not had any
Okay.
evidence of that.
We have a mic at the podium. If you could come up, please. And state your name and address.
Kristen Kaler, Koewler, 440 Leader Drive, Evansville, Indiana, 47715.
Kristen, who are you with?
In-house for Evansville Teachers Federal Credit Union.
Okay. Great, thank you, Kristen. Any questions for Kristen? Thank you. Did I already say opposition? Anybody here wishing to speak support or opposed to the application? Board members, questions for anybody in the audience? Okay, we'll close the floor, open it up for discussion.
Larry, I'm looking at what the regulations here call for and what they are requesting for their commercial sign. Regulation 24, total, 3196. That's 4 times the regulation. Another one, we want 48 square feet. Regulation 12, that's 4 times. Another one that was 96.1, regulation 50, that's almost 2 times. And the other one, 48, we want 48, regulation 24. 2 times the regulation. I got a problem.
My opinion on this is that, while I understand the business where they sell what we can do in terms of business and happening, I think that Mr. Riley's comments about size and sheer dimension is, we're not asking for a small variance. This isn't, I want an extra foot or two. This is a 4X in some of these, and I'm not in favor of having that along our area, which is central to the Crestwood area, central to what's going on in that area. I know we can put things 5 feet away from the road. We're not sure that with this kind of dimension, that kind of distance, that it's what's best for our community. And so I would be opposed to this application.
Ready to get anything?
I have the same thoughts.
Any other discussion? Okay, everyone take a motion.
I move to deny OC-21-014. Based on the testimony given today of the sheer size and magnitude of being greatly over the sign ordinance, that it would actually be would not be essential to the community and would be a nuisance, and it is an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements. The denial applies only to the application considered in May 20, 2021 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing.
Can I get a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Denied.
Sheriff, Lieutenant Housekeeping, please.
Yes.
It's been brought to my attention on my motion regarding docket number OC 21011, and I also know that the applicant is still here. My draft motion says that one of the conditions of approval would be to apply for a short-term rental permit for any rentals. I normally read my draft motions the way they're drafted. And if I did not read that particular sentence, I move that my motion be amended to read non-pro-tunc, which is the legal doctrine meaning now as if then, to include that condition. That's my motion.
Fred, I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, sir. All right. Okay. Board members, we good to continue on? Okay. Mike, if you'd like to read it, please.
Docket OC 21-015. An application has been filed requesting a conditional use permit for a kennel canine training facility and front and side yard setback variances for an existing structure located at 2301 West Highway 146, LaGrange.
Give me just a second here. With this new system we have, for some reason it is deleting our text in our staff or in our presentation. So I'll pull it up from this. All right. Final one for the day. Again, Amy Aldi with Oldham County Planning and Development Services. As Mr. Riley stated, this is an application that's been filed requesting a conditional use permit for a kennel/boarding facility with variances at 2301 West Highway 146 in LaGrange. The property is zoned CO1 conservation and is approximately 1.45 acres. This is an aerial view of the property outlined in red. You'll see here to the south, this is Highway 146. This is a zoomed in version of the aerial. Again, you'll see property outlined in red. Shows the existing zoning. So this is the Oldham County Fairgrounds, and then this property here is zoned CO1 as well, and then the property to the rear is zoned R4. Again, the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to operate a kennel/boarding facility and grooming facility from the existing 2,275 square foot structure located on the property, which is on approximately 1.45 acres. The building was previously used as the American Legion Clubhouse and as a church. Section 260.440 of the Oldham County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance states that conditional use standards for veterinarian hospitals and kennels as follows. Number 1, it says number of animals. The maximum number of animals shall be determined by the appropriate Board of Adjustments in accordance with the area of the kennel, the type of animal to be housed by the kennel, the nature and character of the surrounding neighborhood, and guidelines of recognized organizations concerned with the breeding of animals and prevention of cruelty to animals. The applicant shall present evidence of such guidelines to the Board of Adjustments. And then also, all kennels, runs, and other areas where animals are to be kept must be located within soundproof buildings to prevent noise from reaching neighboring properties. Item number 2, under pens and runs, all kennel pens, runs, and sales areas associated with kennels shall not be located closer than 100 feet from all property lines and street rights-of-way lines, except if the owner of the prospective structure owns land on the other side of the road opposite the location of the proposed structure. Such structure need only be set back from the street right-of-way 50 feet. The next item, all kennel pens shall be located within an approved enclosed area, and all exercise runs shall be enclosed on all sides by a side obscuring solid wall at least 6 feet in height. Then finally, number 3, it says there shall be no objectionable odors generated by the use detectable by neighboring properties. In the staff report submitted the supplemental information from the application by the applicant. This is the floor plan. It shows the upstairs of the facility will house the lobby, grooming area, bathing area, dry room, and an area for special needs pets. The basement area, which the front side is 20 feet underground, will house the indoor boarding area. They'll have 16 indoor bedrooms with a max of 32 dogs and 2 indoor agility courses for exercise. The plan also outlines 13 outdoor exercise runs, agility courses, which will be enclosed by a 6-foot tall privacy fence and a 2-foot lattice board on top, so the total height of the fence will be 8 feet. This is the information that was provided by the applicant regarding the outdoor area, regarding the size of the exercise runs, agility courses for the 13. Again, and they will have a 6-foot privacy fence with 2-foot lattice board on top. And then they'll also have canine kennel turf, which that was a supplement in their application as well. And they'll connect the outside drainage system, will link to the sewer system to ensure proper disposal of waste. These were pictures that were also provided by the applicant regarding what the agility course examples are. This is the outdoor run area. So the highlighted in the blue, and this is to scale based off the drawings that were provided. This is to scale from what was submitted in their application. So this should be true representation. Regarding the kennel pens, runs, and sales area, part of the requirements under the conditional use permit is that they must be 100 feet from all property lines. Therefore, the applicant is requesting the following variances. I won't read through each of these individually, but you'll see them here. So the building itself does not have a 100-foot setback, so the building itself would require setback variances for any of the sales area, and then you would have individual setbacks for the run area as well, or exercise. So that's where this comes into. They have 2 front yard setbacks. One is for like the sales area, which is the front of the building, and then you have the run area, which is located behind it. So even with the building and the run area, it still needs that required setback. The distance from the rear of the run area to the closest residential home is approximately 96.86 feet. And the current hours of operation are shown here: Monday and Tuesday, 7 a to 5 p, Wednesday, 7 a to 6 p, Thursday, 7 a to 7 p, Friday and Saturday, 8 A to 7 P, and Sunday 9 A to 5 P. So this is from our site visit. This is from the entrance of the Oldham County Fairgrounds, looking from 146 into the site. This is the existing structure. This is the east view. So this is standing at the corner of the building, at the front corner of the building, looking, I don't know which way you're going, but looking east to the right. This is the eastern property line going back out towards Highway 146. This is the eastern property line looking to the north, so towards the rear of the lot. This is the west view, so this is standing at the west property or corner of the building looking into the Oldham County Fairgrounds property. This is the left or the west side yard. This is the rear of the building. So again, this would be the area for the kennel, for the exercise and agility runs they're proposing. So the highlighted area there is the area for the runs. This is the rear yard. This is the rear property line, so this is just a little bit closer. Zoomed in to see, this is, if you look here on the site map, it shows you the arrows there, the area of the picture. This is standing at the corner looking, as you would say, northeast at the rear property. This is from the rear property line looking back into the building. So again, this will be the area set aside for the run and exercise areas. And then this is from the front of the building looking back out towards Highway 146. So per the applicant's justification statement, the proposed facility would provide a convenient, safe, and affordable overnight boarding for dogs in Oldham County and is in compliance with multiple objectives of the comprehensive plan. Due to the size of the lot and location of the existing structure, in addition to the topography of the lot, including a significant amount of wooded area, the outdoor pens and runs cannot be constructed such to meet the 100 feet from all adjacent property lines as required. Areas of the requested variance, the east, south, and west, are exempt properties, fairgrounds, and vacant lot owned by a church, and do not have any structures within 100 feet of the applicant's property line. And then finally, by granting the variances, will allow the applicant to keep the existing structure in its current location and add the pens and outdoor runs without disturbing the natural landscape and wooded areas of the land, which offer a buffer to the neighboring properties to the north and east. So in summary, there are two requests before you today. The first request would be that they are requesting a conditional use permit for the kennel/boarding facility with variances for exercise runs. And the one conditional use permit says that it will only apply to the application considered at the May 20th, 2021 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. Your other one, which I did not copy and paste the rest, it looks like, are the variances that they're asking for the run and agility areas. For the front yard, there are 2 fronts, 2 rights, and 2 lefts. So those are the requested variances as well. That is all that I have, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Part of this is a question for the applicant. Do you know if the run is intended to be attached? I'm questioning why the 2 variances, if we did approve the one, or say the sales area, if the run is attached, would that not automatically be included in the first variance?
Well, you would approve the greater variance, which would incorporate the first. But for clarification purposes, versus the use of the building inside, if for some reason they weren't going to have anything outside, they would still need the variance for the existing building for the operation inside. Correct.
Okay, all right, great.
Huh?
Any other questions for Amy? Okay, thank you, Amy. And if we could have the applicant come forward. could state your name and address and be sworn in, please.
My name is Kelly Rowan, and I am the attorney for Ashley Gilbert and Custom Falls. My address is 6100 Crestwood Station, Crestwood, Kentucky, 40014.
Thank you, Kelly. Okay.
And Ashley is going to be able to answer questions that you guys may have, so if you want to swear her in at the same time.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
And Ashley, let me, if you could speak into the mic and just state your name and address, please.
Ashley Gilbert, 106 Westwood Drive, Norman, Kentucky, 40045. Again, my name is Kelly Rowan, and I'm here representing Ashley Gilbert and her business Custom Falls Grooming Salon. Ms. Albee did an excellent job, I think, describing the issues involved in my client's application. There are just a few things that I'd like to emphasize. The first of which is, according to Section 030.040 of the Oldham County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, operating a kennel on property zone CO1, which this property is zoned CO1, is an approved conditional use. Secondly, we're not seeking any variance with regard to the residential property that is abutting the subject property. In fact, the plan we submitted not only complies with, but actually exceeds the 100-foot setback as it relates to the neighboring residential property. So the variances that we're looking for are only related to the properties on the east, west, and south. The property on the east and the west, the properties on the south and the west are owned by the fairgrounds, and on the east is a vacant lot, which is also zoned CO1, owned by a church. Both of those properties are exempt properties. We have received a letter from the Friends of the Fairgrounds indicating that they are not, what's my understanding, they're not going to raise an objection. So they don't have an objection to the variance. Their letter basically states that it would not have a lasting effect on the Fairgrounds property. I want to tell you a little bit about my client and her current business and her plan to expand that business. Ms. Gilbert is currently a responsible and successful business owner in Oldham County. She opened Custom Falls 2 years ago. She operates out of the Grange. At that time, she was its only employee. Since that time, she has grown to 7 employees, 2 of which she just recently hired. You were provided with several letters written by both her current and former employees describing their positive experiences as employees at Custom Falls. The business is currently located at 309 East Jefferson Street in LaGrange. I'm going to show you what it is at it. Oh, wait. I apologize, I'm not really versed on this stuff. So this is just an aerial map of her current location in LaGrange.
If you could speak more into the mic.
Sorry. So her current business is located at 309 East Jefferson Street in LaGrange. It operates out of an 1,100 square foot stick-built building on a crawl space. And she's made significant improvements to her current location over the past 2 years. She's been a really good neighbor. She's had no complaints from any of her neighbors over the last 2 years. And as you can see, some of those neighbors are within, a really close distance, I'd say 30 feet. Over the last couple of years, she's received multiple inquiries and requests from her customers and other Oldham County residents about expanding her services and adding additional services such as boarding, overnight boarding, and doggy daycare. Those inquiries and requests have prompted her desire to expand her business to provide the additional services that her clients and Oldham County pet owners so desperately want and need. She's been actively working with a business coach, David Oatkin, the General Director of the Louisville Small Business Development Center, to achieve her goals. Mr. Oatkin provided a letter, I believe Oatkin provided with that, but I'll pull it up here. He provided a letter wherein he described Ashley as a good business owner, and he highlighted her success in taking her current business from an idea to a profitable business that needs to expand into larger quarters to accommodate her customer growth and so that she can add new services. As you know, Ashley's plan is to purchase the American Legion building, which is a 2,275 square foot building. It's a concrete block building situated on 1.45 acres with a sewer connection. And that's important because with the sewer connection, the outside area can be properly drained and it will reduce odor and be able to be cleaned and washed into the sewer and disposed of appropriately. Ashley's been looking for a suitable location for her growing salon, which would accommodate her current business and also the addition of overnight boarding services. This is the first property in a suitable location that has met her needs and is within an affordable price range in Oldham County. She plans to operate the grooming business out of the first floor of the building, and the boarding and doggy daycare she'll do, that'll be run out of the basement of the building. And we were shown the basement floor plan earlier, but I'm going to pull that up again.
You're trying to reduce the size?
Rotate it. I'm not sure how to rotate it. I've got a picture though.
Well, in the middle top, it's showing 175%. If you want to possibly reduce that,
You see the minus sign?
minus sign.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not the most technology.
I don't know how to rotate it either, but
Okay, there you go. All right. So in the basement, there will be 16 bedrooms of various sizes for boarding dogs and the doggy daycare dogs. So the bedrooms will be in the front of the concrete building, which is 20 feet underground. The pet bedrooms will be framed from floor to ceiling, and the concrete will be sealed to prevent penetration. Each dog, whether a boarder or a doggy daycare dog, will have its own individual bedroom, with the exception of family dogs. So if there's a family that has more than one dog and they request that the dogs be boarded together, if there is a room of adequate size that can accommodate that, then they will allow more than one dog in a room if it's a family dog. Otherwise, just one dog per bedroom. They will also offer boarding for cats. You can see there's a cat room. It's not showing up very well on there, but there's a cat room. I believe it's right here. Right here? Right here. Apologize. So this is the cat room. And in the cat room, we're going to have 4 to 8 cat condos in the cat room. When the boarding doggy daycare facility is full, there will be 16 dogs, one in each bedroom. But there could be occasions where there's more than 16 dogs at capacity, only if they're family dogs and a request is made for them to board together. So presumably if, she had 16 families that had 2 dogs each, there could be, 32 dogs at one time. In that case, like I said, there'd be more than one dog in the bedroom if the size of the bedroom and the size of the dogs allows it. She's not going to allow, boarding together unless there's an adequate space for that. And there are separate sizes or different sizes in the bedrooms. There will also be 2 indoor agility courses for dogs to utilize for playtime and exercise. And the agility courses will be utilized by one dog at a time unless they are family pets. and it's requested that they stay together. There will not be any outside boarding of dogs. I'm going to show you the outside plan. What there will be is an outside area for agility courses for the dogs to get playtime, exercise, and use the restroom. The agility courses, there will be 13 total. There will be 8 30 by 11, 2 30 by 20, and 3 30 by 15. Will be surrounded by a perimeter privacy fence 6 feet in height with 2 feet of lattice board on top for a total of 8 feet. Each course will be separated by privacy fencing 6 feet in height with 2 feet of lattice board on top, so the dogs will not be able to see each other. There will be a privacy fenced-in walkway of the same construction in the middle of the agility courses. Here, like you can see here, the walkway, the hallway, that will allow the employees to get in and out of the agility courses. There will be gates on the perimeter of the fence for emergency purposes, but they will only be able to be accessed to the inside of the agility course area. They will not be able to be opened from the outside. There will be no chain link fencing. Each agility course will hold only one dog at a time, again, unless their family dogs are requested to be together. The larger agility courses will be closest to the building, and they will accommodate the larger dogs. The smaller agility courses will be on the outside and will accommodate the smaller dogs. The dogs will be let out to use the restroom and have play exercise time approximately 5 times a day on a rotating basis. About every half an hour during the regular business hours, the dogs will be rotated in and out. The pets will be let out to use the restroom around 9 or 9:30 then at the end of the day before retiring to their bedrooms for the night. The staff, there will be staff present with the dogs while they were outside on the agility courses. There will be at least 1 staff person to every 5 dogs. So if more than 5 dogs are out at one time in separate agility courses, there will be 2 employees outside going between the agility courses to engage the dogs. The staff will be trained with techniques and tools to redirect the dog's attention and to keep them engaged while outside. The plan is to engage the dogs on the agility courses so they get necessary exercise for their well-being. Each of the agility courses will be cleaned and sanitized between dogs, and an artificial deodorizer will be utilized. It's a silica and lime powder. There will be canine kennel turf, which will be laid in the agility course area, replacing the existing gravel area in the back of the building, which will reduce dust. There will be an outside drainage system linking the agility course area to the sewer for appropriate disposal of urine waste, which we talked about earlier. And all fecal waste will be picked up by staff and immediately disposed of appropriately. All the services offered at custom calls will be by appointment only. That means that each dog will be dropped off and picked up at a specified time for their grooming services. Likewise, when they are boarding with custom calls, a specific drop-off and pickup time will be scheduled for each individual pet. So not all pet owners will be rushing in and dropping their pets off at the same time or picking them up at the same time. Oldham County does have some ordinances. KLC 19-84504 discusses the standards required for Oldham County commercial kennels, and Ashley will have to undergo an inspection before she can be licensed and open up her kennel. This is the kennel inspection, a copy of the kennel inspection, what they'll do. Ashley's plan, I believe, not only meets but exceeds those standards. And, again, once approved, she'll be required to apply for her license to run the boarding facility, which will require an inspection of the facility. Her facility will also have to pass an annual inspection thereafter in order to keep her license. Her current business undergoes regular inspections by the Oldham County Animal Control. We were provided a letter County Animal Control. In her letter, she references the process, and then she also provided support for Ashley's business plan, stating that she has inspected her existing facility and it is always above board. She noted that the facility is always clean and the equipment functions properly. She further noted that the staff are well-trained, hold several certifications, and are required to participate in continuing education, excuse me. And she's correct in that regard. Ashley requires that her employees are AKC safe certified, fear-free certified, and have been trained in cat and dog first aid. She also requires continuing education in those areas. Those are things that she requires. They're not regulations or anything that the government requires of her. She does that on her own free will because she loves the animals and she wants to make sure that the animals are cared for and taken, are cared for and loved and taken, well cared for. Again, in her letter, Ms. Helton confirmed that Oldham County Animal Control has never received any complaints on Ashley's current facility. It should also be noted that Custom Paws finished third in the Best of Oldham County in 2019 and second in 2020. Ashley's plan, Ms. Helton's letter, and the numerous additional letters of support that have been provided to you evidence Ashley's dedication to making the facility a special place for pets and their owners in Oldham County. Further, they emphasize her desire to ensure that the pet's well-being is looked after and that they are cared for and treated humanely and loved. Ashley's gone above and beyond what is expected of her to ensure that her business is conducted in an appropriate manner for all involved, and she will continue to do that in the future with her expanded business when she's granted the conditional use permit and variance as requested. And like I said, Ashley's here to answer any questions that you all might have obviously she's more intimately involved in her business than I am, and I think she articulates herself well and can explain any questions or answer any questions you may have for her.
Very good, thank you. Actually, there's still a few minutes remaining on the time allotted. Is there anything that you wish to add? That's it? Okay.
I think she addressed it all really well. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Board members, questions for the applicant? Okay. All right, very good, thank you. Okay. Amy, I know we got several letters of support and opposition. Did we receive all that came in?
Correct. You were sent via email all letters of support and opposition, but you also need to ask if there's anyone in the audience here to speak in support before you move to the opposition.
Okay. So seeing there are several, what I would like to do is if anybody wishes to speak in favor, we're going to start with those in favor, and then we'll go to those opposed. But if I can see a show of hands by anybody that wishes to speak in favor. Okay, all right. If you want to come forward. You can state your name and address and be sworn in.
Josie Pride.
You can speak to the mic, I'm sorry.
Josie Pride, 408 North 4th Avenue, 40031.
All right, Josie.
I work, sorry.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. I've worked for Custom Paws for over a year now. I'm going to get there. I've seen
Come a little closer to the mic, I'm sorry.
I've seen a growing interest in all the services that we are able to provide, either personally, interest in specifically someone to care for dogs, either during the day or after hours, like a boarding facility. We receive many applications to ask to see when we would be able to provide boarding from both our regular clients and clients who have not yet come to our facility for our other services. I believe it would be in the great benefit of Oldham County and the surrounding areas to be able to provide such a service.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, when we started this morning, I did disclose that, or review the procedures. Collectively, we'll have 10 minutes, just for those in favor, same thing, 10 minutes collectively for those opposed. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Yes, I'd like to come forward, please. State your name and address, be sworn in.
Joe Hamilton, 7609 West Highway 22, Crestwood, 40014.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
So help me God. Thank you. I'm here on behalf of the American Legion, and the presentation that the lawyer has given before, actually, I am so impressed with this young lady on what she does, how she conducts her business, and what she does the proper way. And we are full support of her and her business and everything. Anything we can do to help her. All right.
Thank you, anybody else? All right, like I said, there were numerous letters that came in, in support as well as opposed. Opposition, let's see a show of hands of people that wish, sorry. So, we're gonna do this, if I can.
Larry, I don't think you guys do an opposition. You guys need an opposition.
I'm sorry, an opposition that would like to speak. Okay, we still have several. So let's stand and let's be sworn in. Just raise your right hand, be sworn in.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Collectively, we'll have 10 minutes. Let's try to not repeat what's already stated, just so we can get through. And I guess we will start front here and just work our way back. If something has already been stated, if we could just, just be respectful of the time.
Thank you. My name is Vicki Senior, and I live at 114 Azalea Court in LaGrange. I am a member of the Board of Administration for the Springhouse Condo Association Phase 1, and I'm here speaking on behalf of 162 patio homeowners in Phases 1, 2, and 3 of Springhouse condos. First of all, I'd like to say I'm impressed with Custom Paws also, and I think this kennel would be great in many areas of Oldham County that are not near residential properties. Our patio homes are generally house older voters who spend a lot of time enjoying the peace and quiet of their homes and patios. Hearing barking dogs 7 days a week from possibly 7 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. will end our peaceful enjoyment of our homes. Again, 162 patio homes are very nearby. Also, the addition of this kennel in our neighborhood will adversely affect our property values. I'd like to show a picture that a couple of our residents took from the back portion of the fairgrounds, just to the west of the subject property. I don't know how to do that. You'll notice very thinly through the woods, you see a couple of our patio homes. That is how close it will be to the back corner of the property, subject property. I'd like to point out again that this subject property is just outside of the LaGrange city limits. I did note the attorney mentioned that it is on a sewer system, so that took care of one of my problems. But they are also asking for 3 of the 4 property lines, variances on 3 of the 4 property lines. In opposition to their request, I'd like to state the following reasons. It will adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. It will alter the essential character of the general vicinity. It will cause a hazard or nuisance to the public. It will allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. And if I could ask for all those opposed do this, to please stand. Thank you. I believe that Reverend Boyle said something to say.
Thank you. Barry, go ahead if you want to come up.
Chairman. Barry Baxter, my address is 117 West Main Street here in LaGrange. I'm an attorney. I would also ask to represent some of these same individuals that are here today. I think you all already got a petition in opposition and some signature pages, but just for the purpose of the record, I will file that in the record that are signed by a bunch of the residents that live in Spring House. You all are very familiar with the CO1 regulations of what is required, and there's some concerns, obviously, of these neighbors when you look at what is being proposed. So this is from the GIS map. This is the subject property, and these are the patio homes that we're talking about all back through here that are located behind this particular facility. Recognizing that you've got a church on one side and fairgrounds on the other, you know, one of the concerns of the neighbors is, and obviously they knew when they bought, that the fairgrounds were dead. And so the fair is going to be there for a few days every summer. They're going to put up with the occasional tractor pull or mud run or whatever over there. So on a Friday night, they might have some disturbance, or Saturday night. What they didn't bargain for when they moved in there was a dog kennel that would be in operation with dogs outside per the application from 7 o'clock in the morning till after 9:30 in the evening. What I heard today was, and what is in the application, there's an indication that the dogs are going to be outside, basically, each dog is outside for half the day. So they're all outside, and they're going to be, you know, I guess they're going to be monitored, but I don't know how you control barking dogs that are going to be outside during the day. So that is the big concern that these neighbors have, is that they're going to have to listen to this, and it's going to go on for over 12 hours every single day, 365 days a year. I did note in the regulations that there are some additional standards that may apply that includes parking, and if you look at what was submitted, it did not appear to me, and Amy may tell me I'm wrong, and that's fine, it did not appear to me that they had the requisite number of parking spaces that would be required for this particular piece of property. You've got a situation here where you've got a non-conforming piece of property that they're coming in and asking you for a conditional use permit, and they're asking you for 6 variances. That's a bunch. If this doesn't work, I mean, I understand that you all are here to allow this kind of thing. You know, when there's somebody that's got a non-conforming use or they need a variance, but we're talking about a piece of property that's got a building located on it that they are basically asking you to ignore the setback requirements and to allow them to have variances on 3 sides, and asking you to allow for a conditional use permit on this property, which is the CO1 property. The only area of the county where veterinary kennels are permitted use is in the industrial zone. I looked through this morning, so everywhere else it's going to be a conditional use. So with that being said, I mean, if there was a way to impose conditions on them that these neighbors don't have to listen to these dogs all day long, then they probably wouldn't have any opposition at all. But if they're going to have to listen to 14 hours of dogs every day, they have a problem. Thank you very much.
We have 2 minutes remaining on the initial 10 minutes. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak in opposition? Yes, you may come forward. Ma'am, if you would like to just inch your way forward, I can get you next. Is there anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Renee McDonough, and I live in 2011 Manning Place in Springhouse Estates. My parents live in 1150 Peony Way. You see on the screen up here, 1150. They are the closest to. They're the 139 feet. My father has just been recently diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and dementia. A lot of times he spends his afternoon sitting out there on his patio. We all know the COVID, we've all been stuck in for a year. Well, he's been stuck in for a year, him and my mother. They go out there and they like to spend time out on their patio. Well, if this kennel goes up and they have these outdoor runs, and they say they're going to run from 7 a.m. to 6 or 7 a.m. to 10 or 10 to whatever. If a dog is out there just barking, my father's not going to be able to sit on his patio peacefully anymore. Plus, too, if you have dogs barking right there, guess what's going to happen to all the dogs in that patio home? They're all going to start barking. And then that's going to continue on to the neighborhood, and all the neighborhood dogs are going to continue barking. So we're going to have a barking fest. I do believe that a kennel is needed, but just not here. I am actually one of Ashley's customers for my grooming of my dog. She does wonderful grooming. I just don't think that a kennel right here, Ashley, right here next to my father that has dementia, is a good idea.
You can speak to the
Thank
mic,
you.
please.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Pam Jackson, 135 Magnolia Avenue, LaGrange. First of all, I don't know why you allowed it 10 minutes when you got this many women in here. First of all, her credentials are amazing. I have been there with her before. She does great work. Exactly like she said, I just don't think this is a place for it. Devil's advocate, what if, for whatever reason, the dog gets out? A lot of our neighbors are on walkers and that type of thing. What if they were to get knocked down? What if it was your parents living there? And this is what we said. Vicki, Shirley, Phil have done a great job making this a wonderful community for us. I just made note that the one letter of approval was from Crestwood and the other one was Fairgrounds. Apparently he doesn't live in Crestwood. It wouldn't affect him. The Fairgrounds, nothing else goes on. But like you said, the fair one time a year. We live here. This is where we want to be peaceful. And it doesn't make sense that there's going to be up to 32 dogs. There's no way it's going to be peaceful for us. There's no way it can't happen. We're concerned about our community, our well-being, and the work that all of us have done to make our community safe in our senior years. And yeah, we're going to die off one day, but guess what? There's going to be some coming in behind us. And by their own admission, they asked for her to have an expansion. That's great. She's doing a wonderful job. But when if we get this spot, when's that going to be enough that you have to expand more and more and more? Then we're not going to be able to hear ourselves think. And I just don't see it. I think it would be a wonderful thing for her, but in a more business district where it doesn't affect our lives as well. Thank you.
Show of hands. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Was that a hand, ma'am? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? I've got two up front. 3. Great. Guys, we can call for a motion to expand the time. We just need to be respectful of the time and others that wish to speak. So how long do we want? 5 minutes? 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Additional 10 minutes. We have a motion for an additional 10. Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? 10 more minutes, and if we can start right here.
Well, I'm Mayor John Black, City of LaGrange. I live at 108 North 5th Street, LaGrange, Kentucky. I come here today primarily to speak on behalf of 3 sets of friends. A nice lady who operates a business in our city, checked with code enforcement today and business and licensing, and she's all in good standing. I appreciate any business we have in our city, especially Comfort Paul's, and I understand she does a great job. Also, I have VFW people here today that are trying to sell a piece of property, and hopefully they can sell it, but that's going to be probably granted upon your permission to do so. And then I have all these residents who I represent as mayor here in the city. It's been said already that I think when you're buying property, you buy based on what you know is there presently, and buyer beware. And I think anybody who has purchased property in Springhouse Estates, whether it be in the single-family dwellings and or the patio homes, realize that the fairgrounds was there. And what you get is what you see and what you hear, and they understood that. However, on this young lady who would like to change that usage, I think it becomes an issue based on their quiet enjoyment of the property that they've invested their last maybe dollars in, such as seniors and basic senior community. And I think even though it's permitted in a CO conservation type of district, I know there's different ones being granted in this county, but typically they're out and away from a residential community, such as veterinarians on North 53, South 53, and furthermore, even though the Oldham County Dog Kennel, that's placed on Kentucky State Reformatory property, which probably the closest house may be a mile away, if it's that close. So I think we should take in consideration of these folks here today and look at their opinions as to what it will do to their livelihoods and their property. As this lady here would like to do, she'd love to expand her business, but on behalf of these citizens and being here today, I think they have a argument to be made as to what it will do to their sales of their property, eventual sales, and also each and every day of their living there. So I wish this lady well, comfort cause. I hate to lose her out of the city as a business, out into the county. I hate to do that to you if you were to be granted, but if this does not happen today, I would love to work with her in our city to find a suitable location that hopefully she can expand her business and evidently doing well.
Hi, my name is Jean Knight. I live at 141 Magnolia Avenue in number 1, the first bunch of houses. And I love animals also, learned that. But she was talking about her neighbors and that these people, certain people didn't care where they built there. And of course, again, the fairgrounds is there 1 week. That's it. And they're gone. So it wouldn't make any difference to them one way or the other. But did you take into consideration what they do have down there through the summer? Just because the fair's not there doesn't mean there's not a lot of noise. And I've had animals, I know how they act. They would be in horrible shape when they were having those big truck pulls and all this tractor pulls and everything they had there, because their animals would probably go crazy. But that's beside the point. Let me see, I took down some notes. I do not live as close as some of them do, so it's not going to bother me as much as it will some. But the thought of dogs coming out five times a day or however long they're out there for exercise and stuff, and if they had a whole bunch of them, which I'm sure that's what they want, is to have a lot of animals, then it would be terrible for the people that live so close to them. That's pretty much it, because everybody said it before I got up here. But that's pretty much my thing.
All right, is there anybody else? We have less than 5 minutes.
All right, I'm a preacher, I won't take any time at all. The main points have already been emphasized, the tranquility of the area. I'd like to say that when I moved there, I knew another fairground was already there, all of that. I would think also, let me just add.
I get your name and address real quick.
Barry Broyles, Broyles.
Thank you.
It's 2209 West Highway 146. And we're next to the fairgrounds. Also, I think, I understand with the county fair that they will not have dogs there then, but of course there are, the truck pulls, demolition derby, and all of these things. I think personally it would affect the emotional, mental condition of these dogs. I know it doesn't, but really. And so I think about that. Also, we do have a picnic pavilion that is closer to the fairgrounds. We have picnics, youth, children's activities, birthday parties, fishing in the pond, as well as other events throughout the year. And so, have the dogs bark and all this kind of stuff. Impossible odors, And also, I'm going to work with John Black and help him as far as custom calls, as far as putting location suitable. Thank you.
My name is Michael Walters. I live at 1151 Canterbury Way in Spring Hill, Phase 2. I happen to have the closest bedroom to this property, and I like to sleep. I love dogs. I'm a dog lover. I got a lot of dog friends, and I think this is a great business idea for this county, but not in that location. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
A neighbor has a property.
State your name and address, please.
Sharon Hopkins, 1163 Canterbury Way, Grange, 40031. I'm on my tippy toes, so just a few seconds. A unit is for sale. People had it, a buyer for it. When they heard about this, they backed out of the sale.
Albert Harrison, 114 McLake Manor. I'm here in my capacity as, I'm not sure what, I am the magistrate in District 3. It does include this area. I live on McLake Manor, which is next to Springhouse Estate, not the patio home. But the most important thing, you need to be aware of the history of this property. It's a little bit complex. People are in the process of making money, trying to make money on something that cost them $1. The land was given to them. Originally, the head family had 81 acres, and that was given to the, at that time, our village of the Parks and Recreation Group. And somewhere along the line, American Legion became a 1/3 owner of that. And then they made certain improvements as specified in a contract on that acre and 3/4. Namely, they built a hut that had a value, I think, of $5,000, and they were able to have that property granted to them. And now they're selling for, I don't know what, I've heard $199,000. The Head family gave that property in memory of our military veterans who died in war. That was done in 1949. And I think everybody's lost sight of that fact. One time we had VFW and American Legion here. But I agree with the earlier speakers. This is a great use that she has. It's just the wrong place. Until we find something else.
We only have 30 seconds remaining. I don't think we have enough time to take any additional comments.
Real fast. I forgot something.
Gene Knight again. I just have one question for this gentleman back here.
Well, speak to the
BFW. I was the president of the Fair Board several years ago, and at that time, we owned that. And I'm not sure, has it been given to the BFW? I mean...
Ma'am, if you could address the board. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I can't ask him if he...
Well, we can't answer that, so thank you.
No, he cannot answer that question? Oh, okay, well, then there's no use asking it.
All right. Are we done with...
She's always been brassy.
We're done from here, from opposition. Okay.
Talk about me.
Rebuttal. So you'll have 5 minutes for rebuttal. It's 5 minutes per time for rebuttal. They'll also have 5 minutes for the rebuttal as well.
All right. With regard to the noise complaints, can you show me how to get statement? I'm going to. I've got a statement. Sorry. Sorry.
they can afford $1,000. And I want $199,000. And then they got to do this, they're making me through that. Get it back to the fair board or something.
With regard to the noise issue, I've already expressed in my initial presentation that there will be employees out with the dogs while they're outside. Ashley is a responsible business owner. Okay, she doesn't intend to be a nuisance, nor does she want to be a nuisance to her neighbors. Okay, if they are barking outside, there are several techniques that the staff can use to stop the barking, and if that doesn't work, they'll bring the dog inside because nobody wants to listen to dogs barking. I agree, and you can't. I mean, dogs bark. They bark. You can't say a dog is never going to bark, but there are dogs in that neighborhood. There are dogs. There's not a restriction for dogs ownership in Spring House and the condos. So several letters that we received in complaint actually mentioned that they already have problems with barking dogs in their own neighborhood. In any event, there's a tool that Ashley sells in her business and that her employees will be utilizing, which is called Pet Convincer. It is a neat tool that basically is like an air, not an air horn, but it's like an air capsule, and when you press it, it just makes like a psst sound, and it redirects the dog. This is the website for that product, and I've got a video that I'd like to show you that's actually in use.
Let's be respectful of give her 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Also, we've done some research on, why dogs bark. Dogs bark, according to these articles that we pulled from the internet, which I will also show you. Dogs bark because they are bored. Yeah, they bark because they're bored. Like this article says, keep your dog tired. It's an article that says how to get your dog to stop barking. Keep your dog tired. Make sure your dog is getting sufficient physical and mental exercise every day. A tired dog is a good dog and one who is less likely to bark from boredom or frustration. This is from the Humane Society of the United States. We've also got another article that talks about why dogs bark and curbing excessive barking. It's from Fetch by WebMD in the Healthy Dogs Guide. And it says, with regards to dog barking, it says, a tired dog is a quiet dog. If your dog barks when alone, tire them out before you go. Take a long walk or run, play ball, or take a trip to the dog park before leaving. The whole point of the outdoor runs is to make the dogs happy so that the dogs aren't barking and carrying on. So that they are worn out and they're enjoying their stay and they're resting when they're inside and not, not going crazy anywhere. That's the whole point. I'm going to show you this video of this pet convincer because I was actually convinced after I saw it. I had never heard of it before.
The whole difference between our boarding facility and all of the other boarding facilities, everyone is automatically thinking that this is a kennel, that there are chain link fences inside of the building, that dogs are going to be able to see each other, and of course dogs naturally, they have a high prey drive, they're going to start going at each other through fences. Our bedrooms are individually built, so this is a luxury boarding facility. They will not see other dogs, they will not get bored with a glass window to where they can see other dogs walking by them, getting them amped up, getting them excited. That's not what this is. This is a really low-key, we don't want dogs barking and causing a nuisance for our neighbors. That's not what we want. If we have dogs barking going crazy all day long, we're not doing our dog friendly. They need to be engaged. That's what it's all about. It's about the activity. And that's why folks want doggy daycare. Their dogs are at home sitting, barking in their home because they don't have anything to do. They're not engaged. They're not getting tired. Bring them to us. They got an agility course outside where they're peeing and pooping. It's properly being disposed. And then they come inside in our luxury lounge and they get to take a 2-hour nap. They wake up, we take them back outside to use the restroom, and they go back inside. Play around with them on the agility course. There's nothing like this. The only thing that is like this is in Louisville and they do intermingle the dogs. We will not be doing that. It's all dogs kept separate, but there's nothing like this. This industry is growing, and honestly, my 2 years of looking at property in Oldham County, this is the only piece of property that even comes close to being able to operate a boarding facility.
Timing, and have time for the video.
It's really just a couple seconds.
Let's,
I'm not sure how to stop it.
all right.
There we go. Sorry.
So let's give opposition 5 minutes for rebuttal. Barry, would you like to represent the rebuttal?
I don't know if anybody else wants to do it. I mean, their concerns are their concerns, and nothing that got said in the rebuttal is going to allay those concerns. When you've got dogs that are outside, and whether somebody's watching them or not, dogs are going to start barking. And that's the concern that they have. They're all very concerned about how noisy it's going to be.
Does anybody else wish to have a rebuttal for the opposition? Yes, ma'am. You'd like to come forward?
Your dog's barking in that subdivision across from inside the house. And she'll start barking there.
Is this a rebuttal to what this is a time for a rebuttal, not new testimony?
No, I'm just saying, she said that,
I believe we got your name and address.
my name is Shirley Miller, I live at 114 Magnolia Avenue in Springhouse Estates. She said that we are allowed to have pets in our neighborhood, that we have dogs barking. If our dogs bark, then there's a consequence to pay for that. Our dogs are not allowed to just sit outside and bark all day. So why should we have to listen to their dogs sit outside and bark all day? And that's what I have to say.
All right, sir, you had something for rebuttal? If you can state your name and address.
I live at 1172 Canterbury Way. I would be 3 doors from where this fellow wants to go in. Bought this property because it's in a lovely location, quiet, it's peaceful. Most of the people there are elderly people or retired people like me. And I'm just totally opposed to having this figure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, again, this is a time for rebuttal. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? All right. Final statements. We have 5 minutes. We're going to start with the opposition.
We ask questions after that.
And we'll ask questions after that. So final statements. Anybody on opposition? Collectively 5 minutes. We already said everything there is to say. And again, no new testimony.
I'm Elaine Tischendorf. I live at 1153 Canterbury Way in Springhouse Estates. I happen to have one of those dogs who is a barker. I've never had one before. I've always had quiet ones. I have tried everything. I have tried little mechanical devices. He's very difficult to control. He's very energetic. I know these dogs exist. I have also, throughout my entire life, used kennels when going on vacation. I've lived in a number of places across this United States. I've been in many, many kennels. Some of them would be considered luxury. I can tell you in every case, there were barking dogs, and there was always an odor. I mean, dogs do not go 1, 2, 3, everybody defecate. I mean, that just doesn't happen. So there is a smell that is also part of this. I live next to the gentleman who was worried about being able to sleep. So as you can see, I'm very close to this too, and I know that if we have a bunch of barking dogs, this is going to incite my dog's behavior to be more uncontrollable than it already is. So I asked that that be considered, because there are a number of us with dogs out there that this is going to incite. Thank you.
Anybody else final statements? Okay, final statements for the applicant? I have 5 minutes.
So I completely understand everyone is upset and, about the barging. But that's always what it comes down to. Regardless of where our location will be and who our neighbors are, we're still going to have an issue with parking. So all we can do as far as business owners and employees with custom paws is, again, our goal is to engage the animals. A lot of grooming facilities, boarding facilities, your dog goes locked up in a kennel by themselves, unattended, no human interaction, and that's it. They have a 4x4 area with no bed. It's a concrete slab. The area to go outside is also a concrete slab, which, yes, you can seal that. But again, if you have numerous pets and you do not have a canine turf, it's going to have odor because it's seeping into the concrete, right? So that's where they're only allowed to use the restroom, is where they're sleeping, which dogs do not typically use the restroom where they sleep because they're trained not to. So then that causes health problems or anything like that. But this piece of paper right here, I did want to show, and just kind of, again, if you look at the zoning, so this is the building that we want, this is the church, and this is the fairgrounds. This building is the furthest building from Springhouse Estates. Based off of this building and this building. There are 2 vacant lots right here.
If you could speak to the mic.
Oh, I'm so sorry. There are 2 vacant lots right here. This one, which is zone CO1, and then this one, which I'm not sure the zoning, but the owner of the church owns both of those properties. This is zone CO1, and then we're zone CO1. This property and this property is outside of city limits. This is in city limits. We meet the requirements for Springhouse Estates by 297 feet. The requirements is 100 in order to be considered a nuisance. So the variance we're requesting is for the fairgrounds, which they have illustrated that there will be no complaints from them. And then so the variance requested is for the CO1 of the vacant lot, which is owned by the church. So in order, a couple of concerns were, well, what if the dog gets out? Okay. We've never had that happen. We have numerous exits, inners, that you have to go through in order for a dog to even get out. In order to be AKC safe certified, they have certain regulations that you have to follow already, and we already follow those as a grooming salon. So, a dog getting out, we would really hope it never happens, but then again, that's why it's a great location, because the interstate route to 146 is over here. That's 300 feet away from the main intersection. Right now, I'm less than 30 feet. So what if the dog gets out? So based off of what we want to do, the surrounding zoning and the location, this really is the best in Oldham County that a small business owner can afford. I mean, it's 1.5 acres. Okay.
I'd just like to reiterate too that the zoning, it is a conditional use in CO1, agricultural zone property. And so we would just ask that the board grant the conditional use permit because it will allow proper integration into the community of the use specifically named in the zoning regulation. Because the character and objectives of the proposed use and the potential impacts on the community and surroundings are appropriate. Clearly, when this zoning regulation was written and it was an approved conditional use, those things were taken into consideration. Noise and odor and things like that were taken into consideration when they requested the 100-foot set-off. And again, we do comply with the 100-foot set-off as it relates to the residential property. Also, we believe that the community has a need for the proposed use, and there are potential benefits to the community by granting the variance and conditional use requested. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Board members, questions for anybody in the audience?
I'm not sure who to ask this of, so I'm not sure if it's from the VFW people, if it's Mr. Black, if it's Mr. Harrison.
but the history of the property and why this is broken off the way it is, segregated, because I mean, we need to ask somebody how this, because it looks like it's part of the fairgrounds when you take off the red lines. I don't know what the history is and why that is the way it is. If there is any more to add to that.
I figured he'd know.
Katie, can we put this back there, please? Because this is what I'm referring to. No, I'd rather not have notes on there, please.
What she's getting at, it is the American Legion, not the
Okay.
They went to them down. They became what's now Post Second.
We can't hear him. We can't hear him.
Is that better?
Yes.
Too tall? I was just saying that it's the American Legion Post 39, not the VFW. VFW did share the building at one time. Then there was a separation and that group went down.
Okay.
The American Legion, that's the only veterans group we've got there. There was an agreement with the Air Board that the American Legion needed to show a significant investment in the property as far as improvements before they would grant them by deed and fee simple that back corner. It was the back corner because that was the part that least affected the rest of the fairgrounds. The wooded area, there's a creek, it doesn't show on here, between the building and the back corner. That's another issue. But the requirement in the agreement was that the American Legion had to make something in the way of improvements. And the deed, I believe it was 1979, stipulates that they had built a hut, and the value of that was either $5,000. Because they had satisfied that requirement, they went ahead and created that track. At the same time, they created an access easement from Highway 146 to the property. The property does not have ownership on any public road. It's a landlocked tract with an access easement. The access easement is been in controversy and in litigation. Fair Board didn't like where it was, but it cuts through the property, and they like to use that to county fair. So they moved it over to the property line with Mr. Broyles and built another driveway over there. And I'm not sure what the legal status of that is now, but that's how they get to the property.
Would that make for yet another variance that would be required? Road running? Thank you.
Okay.
I'm not sure the property lines are correctly shown on that. Not even close.
I think that's never
This was drawn in yesterday based off the survey, the direct analysis with the meets and bounds that was on the most recent survey that was due in 2020.
Really?
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for anybody? Board members? Fred, you good?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay. If there's no further questions, I'm ready to take a motion. Oh. That's right. Close the floor. Close the floor for public hearing, open it up general discussion.
I believe this is one of those occasions where opposing positions on the same issue can both be true at the same time. I think Oldham County could certainly benefit from an additional high-quality dog grooming and kennel boarding facility. And I'm speaking from personal experience there. But I don't believe this is the right location based on all the evidence.
Amy, can you just back up, please? So, fellow board members, when I look at when I look at this property as it is, I understand we have to look at the zoning. I understand we have to look at proper integration. I am all for a business like this, and I'm all for what they're trying to do. I believe we have a quality is the word that comes to mind every time I hear this. What I do think we also have to consider is that what's on the top of this screen is a lot of homes and people that live very, very closely. And a lot of what Fred has already said, maybe I've reiterated part of it. But when I look at that, we have opposing needs or wants in the area. And I do believe that it will, in fact, negatively impact the property values. I think it's very significant when we have someone come up here and tell us about a property that was potentially being sold that's next door and they pull out because of what we're talking about here. So when I go through our motions and our motions to approve, there's several different things we look at. Proper integration, we have to look at what there is in proper integration with the zoning regulation. We can look at, there's a need. Oh my gosh, there's a need. And whether it has a potential benefit, oh yes, there's a potential benefit. It's compatible with surrounding use and general character. We have to look at such factors as, and we list several of them, but there are many factors that can go along with a lot of them. So when I look at this, I have to say the picture that I see on the screen really is the fairgrounds and the neighboring community. And the history of how that got broken out, I think, is also impactful. Although that's not what I'm basing my decision on, I can tell you that that is definitely still contributing to what I was already deciding based on the facts brought before us today. So for me, I cannot support this motion because I don't believe it is what we need in this area.
Exactly. I'm going to come from a different spectrum just for a second. Can you hear me?
No.
I'm just reading numbers right now. I got them from Amy, who was on setback.
Speak into the mic.
You said, what's your friend? You said that.
Speak into the mic.
You're not going to take some of the
Speak
setback.
to the mic.
It's my voice, I'm sorry.
That's better. Yay.
Actually, it's this microphone. I worked sound for 2 churches for 20 years. A little bit about sound and microphones and decibels and so forth.
Well, it's working
I don't
now.
know what's wrong, but this shouldn't be operated this way, okay? Keep going. Okay, here we go. We want to get out of here. We want to have something. Okay, anyway, when you have the variances that you need to make this property work, totals up to 290 feet. I've been on this board for 4 years. I don't think I've ever seen one application come close to want that much variance. Also, I agree it isn't in one spot. This young lady here got records of recommendations, got recommendations that she would not believe. I would let her work anywhere in the dog industry, but unfortunately, not this side. I'm sorry. Okay, anything else? Not, I'm ready for a motion.
I do have one more thing to say, and I'm addressing the board, but because that's what we have to do, we can't address them out there, but I'm hoping that the people that said they would help will in fact do that. Just because they get their way on what they would want, I would hope that all the people that have said they would help will in fact do that, because we need quality individuals doing this kind of activity in our community.
Okay, ready for a motion.
I move that the application submitted under docket OC 21015 for a conditional use permit for a kennel and boarding facility and front and side yard setback variances with the kennel run and sales area at 2301 West Highway 146 in LaGrange be denied because it will cause an unacceptable nuisance to the general public with up to 32 dogs being released outdoors in rotation no less than 5 times a day throughout the day from 7 in the morning until after 9:30 in the evening. The facility will be located close to a quiet residential subdivision consisting of homes occupied for the most part by retired elderly people. The board has received, and I'm sorry if my math is off here because the letters kept coming in even this morning, over 100 letters and a 5-page petition signed by over 60 local residents of the community in opposition, and only, I think, 21 letters in support, none of which were members of the community or the neighborhood. And the application seeks 4 setback variances, 3 of which are at least 70 feet, which is an unreasonable circumvention of the zoning regulations. That's my motion.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? It's been denied.
Everybody, wait a minute. I just want to personally thank you all for showing up.
What you did.
Yes, ma'am.
I know.
And you're right. Had only 2 people show up. I think John Black helped out too.
Yeah, he did. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Chris. You want this all done?
I hope he helps that young lady find a place, though.
And I'm not against your business. I just don't want to where it's at.
Yeah, we all
Might use it sometime.
I'm never hearing.
I told you. Well,
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Oh, good, darling.
Thank you. Thank you for what you said.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, I'm afraid I'll.
yeah, don't trip on that.
Yeah.
Live in a house, and so we got a house together, and now I'm her landlord. Oh, you're the
Yeah, that was not very nice, John. You know? That was plain mean. He's teasing.
Thank you for speaking.
Are there stairs to take down, or is it just an elevator?
Okay, since we have other business to conduct, if you can take discussions outside, please.
Stay out here, we gotta finish the rest of the business.
All right. Meeting minutes. Everybody received the meeting minutes. Do we have any modifications? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Motion to approve the minutes. Second. Thank you. Mike got it. Fred second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Minutes approved. And Judge Vogel, I believe you want to address the board.
Right. Well, we've had a robust discussion here of this issue today. You made the correct decision as far as in my mind. I do wish this young lady well, and I think our economic development team would be very happy to try to help her locate a facility in Oldham County. Don't want her to leave, would like her to stay. There's a lot of good things said about the work she does, but I agree it was the wrong place. Rob is going out on, a big meeting here today, and I want to thank Rob for everything he's done for the past 10 years being on this board. You've done an excellent job. You've shown a tremendous amount of leadership, a lot of interest, and taken your job seriously and made a significant contribution to Oldham County. So I do appreciate the fact that you have been here and wish you continued success in your business. As I understand it, your business is going so well that you are just pressed for time. So you've dedicated 3.5 hours or 4 hours, took your time to get here today, to be here. So I do have your replacement sitting here. This is Gretchen Chitwood. She
sort of got a bath of fire here today as far as this is. Well, this is probably, I think you all agree, this is as intense as it gets as far as we don't always have this many people show up or as controversial an item, but so you had a chance to really see what happens. And I'm sure that Gretchen over a period of time here is going to learn how to be an effective member of this board. Ron Funk took a holiday on us here today, so but I think he would have agreed with the unanimous decision. So once again, Rob, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate everything you've done. I appreciate everybody on this board. We obviously need this type of function. Someone said to me earlier here, well, we vote, they said, who put these people on this board? I said, well, I did. You're going to vote against me, vote against me, Oh, we don't want to do that. Well, I hope not. But anyway, thank you very much for your service and best wishes in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. And I'd like to reiterate, it has been a pleasure and an honor working with you over the years. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Barry. Believe it or not, it was weird. I came in this morning and I actually, some people put Mike said, we probably feel like, oh, great, this is good. And I'm like, I actually felt a sense of sadness walking in because it's been more than a decade. I don't know how many more than a decade, but more than a decade that I've been serving on this board. And I told my kids a long time ago, you need to get involved. And then I realized, wait a minute, where was I involved in the community? So I went to the judge at that point and asked him, where can I serve? And this is where he stuck me, and I stuck on. So thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Filing deadline is next Wednesday. As always, if we give any applications, we'll send emails out with the agendas and set.
Anything yet?
Nothing yet.
There's still time.
Yes, next Wednesday is a filing deadline. It's usually the last day. So.
Any other business from anybody? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, meeting adjourned.